subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Chapter 1, Am I the Dragon Slayer? Ooh-hoo-ho! A strange cry reached my ears. Mo Bai slowly opened his eyes. Huh. Underscore? It seems like there is a huge black shadow. Mo Bai subconsciously stretched out his arm to touch, but it was hard. Is it a big rock? The vision finally became clear. Only then did Mo Bai see clearly that in front of him was a giant rhinoceros that was more than 2 meters tall. Their eyes met. Mo Bai smiled awkwardly. He retracted his arms, stood up, and ran back. Where did this come from? Is this still domestic? Also, where did such a big rhinoceros come from? Didn't I just go out to get some soy sauce? Before I went home, I heard that Fairy Tale's centenary mission was going to be updated. So I waited for the bus on the side of the road. On the way to escape, Mo Bai finally remembered the memory before coma. I wonder which BD driver got drunk in broad daylight. Rampant all the way, Mo Bai, who was waiting at the red light on the sidewalk, was sent flying. Mo Bai has read many novels about reincarnation after death. But this is the first time he has seen a script about reincarnation and death. Roar! Although the rhinoceros reacted half a beat too slowly. But Mo Bai chased after him, roaring from time to time. Mo Bai looked around while running. He was now in a desolate mountainous area with jagged rocks. The road was not smooth, and in a panic, Mo Bai inevitably stumbled almost every time he ran. On the contrary, the rhino's huge feet were firmly on the ground, and every move seemed to cause the mountain to shake. Mo Bai turned slightly and realized that the distance between the two parties was getting closer, so he simply gritted his teeth. I bet it has a bad brain. Mo Bai rolled over and hid behind a nearby rock. Perhaps because of the disappearance of the target, the sound of rhinoceros movement gradually stopped. Mo Bai finally breathed a sigh of relief and stuck his head out to observe the situation with a little anxiety. Why is this big guy still there? Wait, it's... Within sight, the rhino's whole body was tense, and one of its feet kept rubbing backwards. It was clear that he was going to rush this way. Realizing something was wrong, Mo Bai was about to move his position when the rock behind him instantly shattered. It's too late. The charge of this thing was so fierce that it shattered together with the huge rocks. What kind of fate do I have to die twice in one day? Still, they were all hit and flew away. Mo Bai closed his eyes almost in despair. Let your body draw a beautiful arc in the air. Spicy pills. But the strange thing is that apart from the friction injuries on the back when touching the ground, there was no pain in the body. In other words, the huge rock attack just now caused almost no damage to himself. Not only that, Mo Bai actually smelled a hint of kindness from the broken rocks. What's going on? On the other side, the rhinoceros noticed Mo Bai's strangeness and showed a hint of doubt, getting ready to continue charging forward. Mo Bai did not continue to run away, but instead focused on the rocks scattered on the ground. Then, by some strange coincidence, he picked up a piece of it on the ground and put it in his mouth. Crunch, crunch. Mo Bai didn't know what he was thinking. Perhaps the behavior at this moment is more like the body's instinctive reaction. I originally thought that the rock would have a teeth-grinding astringency, but when I ate it in my mouth, it tasted particularly refreshing. Suddenly, there was strength in my belly, which spread to all parts of my body. What's wrong with me? Mo Bai was surprised to feel the changes in his body, and his strength was increasing. Almost relying on instinct again, Mo Bai shouted loudly. Powerful pressure spread from the whole body. The rhinoceros that originally attacked Mo Bai crazily was frightened when he heard the sound, and his body froze in place. Although it only lasted a few seconds, the rhinoceros regained its energy and resumed its charging posture. Mo Bai looked down at his hands and clenched his fists. Did I do the explosion just now? If I could use all this power in one place, I might be able to defeat this beast. Roar! As the rhinoceros charged at an even fiercer speed, Mo Bai no longer dodged blindly. Instead, take a deep breath, lunge, and push your arms forward tightly. Within the line of sight, the figure of the rhinoceros continued to enlarge until it was eye level with its ferocious gaze. Boom! The rhino's heavy blow seemed to make the entire mountain tremble. But Mo Bai stood in front of him and remained still, his hands firmly blocking the rhino's rough cheeks. Success! This rock seems to contain something special. Eating it can increase your strength, suppressing the joy in his heart. Mo Bai jumped up and pulled his body to the side. Taking advantage of the moment when the rhinoceros turned around, Mo Bai swept away all the broken rocks. As expected, stronger magic power accumulated in his chest. When you eat it, your strength will surge up. The fear has long since dissipated. When the rhinoceros turned its clumsy body, Mo Bai was already ready to go. He even stretched out a finger and activated the long-lost martial arts secret. Come here. Uhu-ho. Faced with the shameless provocation of a human who was many times thinner than itself, the giant rhinoceros seemed to be going crazy and rushed over desperately. At the same time, Mo Bai closed his eyes and took a deep breath, carefully comprehending the changes in his body. Just when the rhinoceros was about to hit his body, now! Mo Bai didn't hold anything back and poured out all the power he had. A majestic energy storm, mixed with the broken rocks that had just been swallowed, instantly poured out of the mouth. Mo Bai's eyes widened, and he was surprised to find that his breath just now formed a huge storm of sand and stones. The rhinoceros's heavy body was caught in it, breaking off the ground like a piece of paper and flying to a raised stone more than 10 meters away. Bang! The dust disperses. The raised stones were knocked out of dense cracks like spider webs. The body of the giant rhinoceros lies across it, unable to move for a long time. Mo Bai's mouth still didn't close, not because he continued to release the storm, but because he was surprised. Obviously, that terrifying blow was beyond his own expectations. Reminiscent of the scene that just happened and the attack method just now, a flash of lightning flashed in Mo Bai's mind. Wait, this is dragon-slaying magic. I am the Dragon Slayer? Chapter 2, 8 Dragon-Slaying Magic Crystals. Mo Bai finally realized that he had traveled through time and entered fairy tale. This is a world of magic, and the manipulators of magic are called magicians. What he just demonstrated was an extremely rare dragon-slaying magic, a legendary method that can kill dragons. In addition, the biggest feature of dragon-slaying magic is that it swallows most elements of the same attribute and converts them into its own magic power. And this element limitation also includes the opponent's magic. In other words, no matter how much magic a magician who plays with fire casts, he will only be devoured by a fire-attributed dragon-slaying magician. Free experience. So, I am a rock-type dragon slayer mage. Swallow rocks and transform them into power. The move just now is called the Cave Dragon's Roar. Mo Bai sat down on the spot, put his right hand gently on his chest, and carefully felt the magic power fluctuations coming from his body. About half a minute later, a majestic and tenacious magic power was slowly triggered from the chest and gradually spread to the whole body. Mo Bai lowered his head and looked at his body. His skin had changed slightly, and the color was more like dark brown rock, like earth armor. Intuition told Mo Bai that with this kind of blessing, his defense would not be worse than the rough-skinned and thick-fleshed rhinoceros just now. But this magic power doesn't seem to be ready to come out. I haven't been able to cast it instantly. Is it because I'm not very skilled? After all, it took a full half minute. If he really wanted to fight, he would have burped in this time. Thinking of this, Mo Bai concentrated his attention again, running the magic power in his body, trying to make himself more familiar with the mystery. In a daze, he seemed to have walked into a dark space, and not far ahead, there was a dark brown spindle-shaped dragon-slaying magic crystal, which was shining brightly at the moment. Mo Bai can clearly sense that the crystal is exuding amazing magic power, which is exactly the same as the aura during the battle just now. However, I seem to smell other magic. Mo Bai didn't stay too long and controlled his thoughts to continue moving his body forward, until the magic crystal behind him disappeared. This magic power is getting closer and closer, and there is a feeling of heat. Mo Bai couldn't help but quicken his pace. It's almost there. After walking through so much darkness, a fiery red magic crystal suddenly appeared in front of him. The shape is exactly the same as the previous rock dragon slayer crystal. The heat is what it emits, the dragon-slaying magic crystal of fire. Mo Bai was immediately overjoyed and quickly used the magic power in his body to wrap it up. I have to say, this thing is a bit hot. Time passed by minute. Under Mo Bai's gaze, the magic crystal finally shone, and Mo Bai's own magic also had a hint of flame. Success! 2 dragon-slaying magic crystals. Looking at the entire world, Dragon Slayer Mage is an extremely rare existence. Except for the 5 children who were raised by real dragons 400 years ago and learned dragon-slaying magic. Most other Dragon Slayer wizards have magic crystals implanted into their bodies to understand Dragon Slayer magic. Perhaps the Dragon Slayer crystal is too expensive, or perhaps there is some special rejection reaction. Except for a few perverted guys, I have never seen anyone who can implant 2 magic crystals into the body at the same time. The source of magic seems to have not ended. Perhaps there will be other gains ahead. After calming down a little, Mo Bai walked towards the edge of darkness again. With the experience just now, Mo Bai speeded up with great expectations. Not long after walking forward, a delicate yellow crystal came into view. As expected, this magical power is a dragon-slaying crystal with the attribute of thunder. Compared with the previous rock and fire elements, the thunder attribute energy is particularly violent, and I am afraid that if you are not careful, you will be paralyzed by its counterattack. But Mo Bai had previous experience and did not act too hastily. He just slowly used magic power to assimilate it bit by bit. That's right, it's the thunder attribute, the same power as Laxus. With the ability of the 3rd dragon-slaying magic crystal in his pocket, Mo Bai simply tucked it away and directly burst out the magic power in one breath. The same magic wave resonated in his mind at the same time. Then a surprising discovery was made. There are actually 5 crystals? Then I will have 8 kinds of dragon-slaying magic at the same time. Mo Bai took a long breath and raised his hands to rub his face. It's not time to be happy yet. What we need to do now is to refine them all in one go. Mo Bai walked quickly forward to follow the trace. The Iron Dragon's dragon-slaying magic crystal swallows steel and iron, specializes in breaking sharp blades. The Water Dragon's dragon-slaying magic crystal, with the help of the Water Dragon's power, instantly set off a storm. Wood Dragon's dragon-slaying magic crystal controls life. Earth Dragon, thick black spines and tough. The last one is the power of wind, the Storm Dragon magic crystal. Absorb the storm and fly in the wind, absorbing and refining all the power of the remaining 5 magic crystals in one breath. Mo Bai instantly felt that the magic power in his body was several times more powerful. 8 elements of dragon-slaying magic crystal. TSK. Doesn't that mean that as long as the magic used by my opponents in the future is within the 8 powers of water, fire, wind, rock, wood, earth, thunder, and iron, I can swallow their magic and convert it into my own power? Mo Bai couldn't help smacking his lips. Such great power! Looking at the entire kingdom, I am strong enough to be among the top magicians. Returning from the space of consciousness to reality, Mo Bai still saw the vast world of mountains and rocks in front of him. Now, it's time to find a guild. Since I'm here, of course I want to join the Fairy Tale Guild. Standing up from the ground, Mo Bai moved his body and was about to leave when the sidelights suddenly swept to a rocky ground in the distance. In sight was a short old man, probably not even as tall as Mo Bai's thigh. The old man has a Mediterranean hairstyle and is sitting leisurely on the stone drinking tea and resting. Little did he know, 2 hungry wolves had already appeared behind him. The wolves showed their sharp claws and tilted their bodies slightly, making a pounce-like gesture. "Uncle, watch your back!" Mo Bai subconsciously shouted loudly from a distance. Unexpectedly, the old man seemed not to hear. Taking a sip of the hot tea in the cup, his eyes instantly narrowed into slits, and his whole face was filled with contentment. "Is this uncle deaf?" Mo Bai patted his head. Before he could make the next move, 2 hungry wolves flew towards the old man. I thought it would be a bloody hunt. Mo Bai was even ready to mourn the old man. Just when the hungry wolf was less than half a meter away from the old man finally noticed something. He turned around slowly, looking calm. Immediately afterwards, in Mo Bai's horrified eyes, the old man's left fist suddenly expanded dozens of times, and he threw it out hard, knocking the two wolves straight into the air with great speed and pressure. The old man smiled, showing a mouth full of white teeth. Mo Bai swallowed, as if recalling something. The expression on his face gradually changed into ecstasy. The magic of enlargement, this hairstyle, and this figure are unmistakable. It's him. It's him. Chapter 3 Fairy Tale President. Makarov Fairy Tale. President Makarov. Although this president is usually just a bad old man who is not serious and a little lecherous, he is currently the most reliable person in Fairy Tale, and his strength is even listed as the top 10 magicians by the council. Mo Bai originally wanted to join the Fairy Tale Guild, but now he met President Makarov directly. When luck comes, it cannot be stopped. Perhaps it just made up for his skewed non-Emirati physique in his previous life when he drew cards and took guarantees. After Makarov returned his arm to normal size, Mo Bai was about to step forward to talk, but the old man walked towards him with a smile on his face. "Young man, thank you for reminding me just now." Ahem. Actually, I didn't do much to help. Mo Bai wanted to say something more, but an awkward smile appeared on Makarov's face. "I seem to be lost. Do you know how to get out of here?" Puff! Mo Bai almost spurted out. Sure enough, everyone at Fairy Tale has an innate sense of relaxation. This sense of relaxation will not change with age and status. But then again, Mo Bai has only been here for less than an hour, and he doesn't have a map in his hand. "You, a local, are still asking me for directions?" Seeing that Mo Bai didn't respond, Makarov blushed. "In that case, I won't bother you anymore. I have to find a way back to the guild quickly, otherwise those little guys will make trouble again." "What's going on?" Etc. Makarov was about to randomly choose a lucky direction, but was stopped by Mo Bai. "Storm Dragon Wings." As Mo Bai murmured, magic power accumulated on his back, and a pair of illusory wings gradually appeared. Under Makarov's stunned gaze, Mo Bai gently grabbed his shoulders and flapped his wings to fly into the sky. The power of the Storm Dragon magic crystal that Mo Bai finally absorbed is very special. It seems that Mo Bai cannot directly restore magic power by simply absorbing air, but as a compensation, it can give Mo Bai the ability to fly and spread his wings anytime and anywhere. Generally speaking, it is still a relatively convenient magic. Mo Bai smiled and said, "Although I don't know the way back, at least this way I have a wider field of vision and can see more clearly." Makarov nodded with satisfaction. "Well, the younger generation of magicians now have so many unique skills. They can even fly." "Excuse me." "Thank you, sir." Mo Bai said something, but immediately changed his words. In the current situation, it is better to pretend not to know each other. After casually glancing at the surrounding landscape, Makarov said casually, "I took a brief look at your battle just now. Although the magic power is very powerful, remember to keep it in and out at an even pace. Otherwise, it will not be conducive to long-term attacks." "Of course, I'm just expressing my opinion casually. You look like you are only 18 or 19 years old. As far as your own strength is concerned, being able to reach this level at your age is already very strong, but I don't know what the result will be compared with the brats in our guild." Hearing this, those familiar figures immediately appeared in Mo Bai's mind. Natsu, the Fire Dragon Slayer wizard; Lucy, a wealthy star spirit girl who escaped from home; Gray, who can't fight without taking off his clothes; and Mo Bai's favorite Fairy Queen, Erza. The adventure of this team is his youth. When he thought that he was about to be with them personally, Mo Bai couldn't suppress his excitement and speeded up unconsciously. Makarov pointed diagonally ahead and said, "Did you see that big pine tree? You can reach Magnolia along this direction." "Magnolia?" "That's right. The town where our guild is located has been developing here for about 100 years." Makarov said proudly. Mo Bai also made up his mind. He had already sent him back to Fairy Tale, so he conveniently pulled him into the guild. "Isn't that too much?" Thinking of this, Mo Bai tentatively said, "What, uncle? I don't have a place to settle down yet. I don't know if I can." "Able." Mo Bai originally wanted to test Makarov's tone by making insinuations, but unexpectedly, he agreed directly before he finished speaking. Makarov disagreed and gushed. The guild is a place that provides jobs for the little devils. When we officially arrive, whether you want to stay or not, I will respect your wishes. But trust me, you will fall in love with the guild. In addition, there will be an S-class magician assessment in half a year, and your strength is very promising to be selected. But that is a story for later. I will take you to visit the guild later. S-class magician assessment. If he can really pass, it will prove his strength to some extent, right? Mo Bai was eager to find an opportunity to shine, and he couldn't hold it back any longer. When he heard this exciting news, he subconsciously cheered. But he forgot that his hands were still holding Makarov's shoulders. As Mo Bai inexplicably felt his hands were empty, shrill screams came from underneath him. Take a look below. Makarov's face turned pale as if he had lost his soul, and he fell straight down like a kite with its string broken, with all four legs in the air. Mo Bai dived down quickly in embarrassment. Then, before Makarov fell to the ground, he grabbed his shoulders and flew into the air again. Ahem, sorry sir. Don't get excited. Fly calmly. By the way, kid, I still don't know your name? Mo Bai. Mo Bai, such a short name. Go through the woods in front, and it's not far away. Half an hour later, flying over the bustling streets and towns, under Makarov's guidance, the two finally stopped in front of a tall building. This is our guild fairy tale. Makarov wanted to say something else, but his stomach suddenly turned upside down, and he squatted down while holding the wall and vomited. Next time, fly more steadily. Ugh, I can't stand it. The sound went in from Mo Bai's left ear and came out from the right ear, completely out of his mind. At this time, he was completely attracted by the guild in front of him. The house is not very high or very big. It may only be called a condensed castle, but the flag hanging in the center is particularly conspicuous. Fairy Tale's guild crest. Seeing Mo Bai's expression, Makarov wiped his mouth and proudly introduced to Mo Bai. This is the Fairy Tale Guild, the home of a group of rebellious brats. As for why it's called Fairy Tale, to be honest, we have no way of knowing whether fairies really exist. After all, we have never seen them. The unknown mystery represents eternal adventure. Mo Bai, as the president, I welcome you to Fairy Tale. Chapter 4. Welcome to Fairy Tale. I'm back. Makarov showed no mercy and kicked open the guild door. Well, you're welcome. Just come in. Makarov originally wanted to tell Mo Bai to come in and sit wherever he wanted, but a wooden chair suddenly flew into his face. Directly smashed the nosebleeds. Shouting came from inside. BD Huiyin, I have disliked you a long time ago. You stripper pervert. I'll beat you down today. The magic power of ice and fire broke out and spread from the center of the hall. Even though Mo Bai was at the door, he could still feel the intense atmosphere. Natsu Gray. Within sight, two teenagers were fighting with each other using ice and fire magic. One was wrapped in a thick white scarf, and the other had taken off all his clothes from the upper body. Well, as you can see, everyone in the guild always likes to be noisy, so it seems harmonious. Makarov wiped the nosebleed from his face and explained patiently to Mo Bai with a forced smile. What he didn't know was that Mo Bai already knew everyone here, and the guilds were accustomed to falling in love and killing each other every day. Fire Dragon's Hook. Ice Shape. Ice Wall. The boy wrapped in a white scarf is Natsu, the Fire Dragon Slayer, and his opponent is Gray, the Ice Shape Mage. The so-called Ice Shape is to release ice attribute energy and transform it into various shapes, such as various weapons for combat, to attack. Maybe it's because of the mutual conflict between the magical properties of fire and ice, except when the guild is unanimously fighting against each other. The two of them will always fight from morning to night. Gray clothes. The female wizard next to her reminded her expressionlessly. Gray has long been accustomed to this quirk. Gray was suddenly surprised. When did I take it off? Natsu would not give Gray a chance to breathe and kicked him away while he was stunned. A flash of light flashed in the sky. Mo Bai turned his attention to Naz, who had taken advantage of him, but found that he had a pair of shorts on his hand. As the fingers turned, the shorts continued to rotate up and down. Wait, is this? Mo Bai suddenly thought of something and looked at the other side. Really? Gray stood up from the corner naked. However, her private parts are not covered up at all, and she openly walks around in front of everyone. "Give me your pants. Hey, come and get it," Natsu said with a wild smile. "I style Lancer." Gray gritted his teeth and directly released the magic weapon attack, launching the ice spear forward. It hit Elfman next to Natsu with perfect accuracy. "Man, how old are you two? Are you tired of fighting every day? None of your business. Eat my fire dragon's iron fist." Natsu punched Elfman in the face. Elfman was knocked away and hit someone else, knocking the pipe out of his mouth. "A hole! Don't get in the way. It's not vulnerable at all." "That's enough. What are you arguing about? Whose slippers were thrown into my wine barrel? Damn it, just be honest with me. A man must prove his strength with his fists." Not long after, everyone in the entire guild was fighting together. In just a minute or two, it was a mess. "This is the fairy tale I know." Mo Bai suppressed his laughter and watched with gusto. "President, welcome back." A sweet female voice suddenly came from the side, which seemed out of place with the commotion of other people. Mo Bai raised his eyes and was instantly attracted by her grace. "Mira, is this a newcomer?" "Hello." Mira Jane smiled and extended her hand to Mo Bai in a friendly manner. With her waterfall-like silver hair, pale pink dress, and every smile, she exudes the temperament of a guild poster girl. She is indeed a super beauty who can appear on the cover of Magic Weekly. Seemingly aware of Makarov's stiff expression next to Mo Bai, Mira Jane looked at the people who were still scuffling behind her, smiled bitterly, and smoothed things over. "It seems that everyone is in high spirits today. After the commotion is over, they should all go to work seriously." Crack! In the chaotic fight, someone threw a wine bottle impartially. Hit Mira Jane right in the head. Mira Jane was knocked unconscious immediately. Mo Bai swallowed and stood there blankly. At this moment, he has clearly felt that Makarov is condensed with a huge and terrifying magic power next to him. "You bunch of idiots, stop right now." Makarov's roar echoed throughout the guild hall. Immediately, almost everyone stopped their movements and looked over, except for Natsu and Gray, who were still fighting in the corner. While everyone else remained quiet, the two of them still went their own way, and their voices were particularly harsh. "Can you please put your clothes on before fighting with me? It's annoying when that thing keeps shaking." "You still have the nerve to say that? Who took my underwear away? How do I know you're not wearing anything underneath? What is intolerable is unbearable." Makarov did not hold back after all, and directly activated the magic power in his body to enlarge his whole body. Shadows were cast on the ground, and their vision dimmed. Only then did the two realize that something was wrong, and they both looked up to check. "Huh? President, when did you come back?" Facing these two unrepentant villains, Makarov was not polite at all. He raised his leg and pushed both of them down with a kick. Simple, crude, and easy to use. "No, I don't dare anymore." It wasn't until the sound of begging for mercy came from his feet that Makarov returned to his original shape, returned to Mo Bai again, and asked seriously, "So, after understanding that the guild is a group of noisy guys, Mo Bai, are you still willing to join Fairy Tail?" "Willing." Mo Bai nodded without hesitation. "Very good. You are welcome to join." Makarov responded to his call, and everyone seemed to have completely forgotten the commotion just now, and all gathered around Mo Bai. "I'm the manly elfman, a newcomer. Let's fight with my fists right now. You look about the same age as Natsu and the others. What kind of magic do you know?" The newcomers brought back by the president will definitely not be ordinary. The men and women pulled Mo Bai and asked him questions, and they were very affectionate. Everyone seemed to be familiar with each other, and there was no look like they had just met each other. It wasn't until Mira Jane approached with the magic emblem that Mo Bai was able to escape. "This is the logo of our guild. As long as it is engraved on a certain part of your body, you will officially join Fairy Tail. A coat of arms is a special magical symbol. Although the magic power is weak, it will not be washed away by water or faded by friction, unless magic is used to erase it." Mo Bai smiled and unbuttoned his shirt. Such an important thing should of course be printed on the chest. Feeling the slight magic fluctuations coming from his body, Mo Bai gently rubbed the crest on his chest. "The more I watch, the more I like it. From now on, he officially becomes a member of Fairy Tail, Chapter 5 Fairy Queen Erza. First commission. This is the guild's bulletin board. The job of the magician is to complete the various commissions above and get rewards. Taking Mo Bai to the sidewall, Mirajane introduced Mo Bai one by one. Different commissions have different difficulties and different rewards. You can choose any work you want to complete. Just give the commission to me. After briefly thanking Mirajane, Mo Bai looked carefully at what was posted above. D-level mission. Patrolling the streets of Magnolia at night. No special requirements. Reward 3000 J. C-level mission. Light the sacred fire of Anuba village. Limited to fire mage. Reward 20,000 J. B-level mission. Expedited. Chase down 2 night crawlers from the Thieves Guild. Recover the stolen magic crystal. No special requirements. Reward 88,000 J. A level mission. Defeat the vicious beast Vulcan in Hakob Mountain and obtain the top horn of the king of Vulcan. No special requirements. The reward is 400,000 J. J is the general currency of Fairy Tale, equivalent to berry in One Piece or gold coins in other otherworld novels. If you are working for the first time, it is recommended to start with a simple commission, Mirajane suggested. Or maybe there are still many people resting in the guild today and they find it too difficult, so we can form a team with everyone to complete the mission. Mo Bai was still hesitant. It's not that you can't find a job you like, but the commissions currently posted are too simple. The highest reward among the A-level commissions is just to conquer Vulcan. Vulcan is a creature that Mo Bai is naturally familiar with. A kind of ape-like monster, active all year round in the Hakob Snow Mountain, attacking travelers. It moves quickly and can be considered a difficult opponent. But after all, they don't have magic power in their bodies. To some powerful magicians, they are just minions. Mo Bai made a calculation in his mind. Although I am new here, judging from the past, my strength should not be weak. At least I can still be competent for some ordinary S-level tasks. Unfortunately, due to the difficulty and danger of S-level missions, you must obtain the approval of the president, pass the assessment, and be personally awarded the title of S-class mage before you are qualified to take down the order. Makarov also confessed before that the assessment will be held in half a year, and it may be difficult to achieve it in a short period of time. In this case, the only choice is to conquer Vulcan, and the reward is not very small. Mo Bai was thinking about it, and was about to take off the order form when a female voice came from the door again. I heard that the president has returned from the Senate meeting. He also brought a new person. What a familiar voice, Mo Bai thought to himself. Compared to Mirajane's sweetness, the tone of this voice was a little more unquestionably bold. Everyone's eyes gathered together at the same time. At the gate, a beautiful-looking woman appeared in armor, with long crimson hair that was particularly dazzling in the sun. Oh my God, it's Erza who's back. It's over. I haven't worked in the past few days. I will definitely be killed by her later. I'll do it first as a courtesy. Erza walked slowly into the hall and looked around. There was a sudden silence. Everyone's hearts were in their throats, and they turned their heads to the side, afraid of looking into her eyes. Kana, do normal people drink directly from a bucket? Bixita, if you want to dance, go out and dance. Wakaba, your cigarette ashes fell on the floor. Clean it up now. Get the cloth. Do you just hang around on the bulletin board? Go to work right away. And you, the wizards whose names were mentioned by Erza, all had black lines on their faces, but they did not dare to refute, so they had to do as they were told. The biggest changes were in Natsu and Gray. Although the two of them had just been punished by Makarov, they were now ready to fight. But when they heard Erza's voice, the two immediately joined hands and became close brothers. Natsu, Gray, you should get along well during my absence, right? Erza asked. Of course, we are the closest family. Yes, we got along very well today. There was absolutely no fighting. Looking at the scene in front of him, Mo Bai couldn't help but curse in his heart. As expected of the Fairy Queen, not only is she powerful, she is also a disciplinary committee member. After almost picking out the faults of the entire guild, Erza approached Mo Bai. You are the newcomer Mo Bai brought by the president, right? I am Erza. If you have any questions, you can come to me at any time. 2 simple sentences, but they made Mo Bai feel considerable weight. Thank you. Erza shook her head slightly. You're welcome. Since this is your first mission, it's better to find someone to accompany you. It happens that my last job has been completed. When you choose the commission, I will team up with you to go there. Clam. The voice fell into the crowd. The guild members looked at each other and cast sympathetic glances at Mo Bai. It's so pitiful that Erza will destroy you as soon as you join the club. You said, Mo Bai wouldn't get interested in Erza just because he saw her beauty and then happily go on a mission with her, right? If you dare to think that way, will you suffer the same consequences? I just hope that after this mission, he won't break down and cry and quit the guild. I still need to find an opportunity to persuade him to refuse politely. The Dragon Slayer's 5 senses were particularly sharp, and the whispers reached Mo Bai's ears so clearly that he couldn't laugh or cry for a while. Erza, how could it be so scary? When I first watched Fairy Tale, my favorite was the Fairy Queen. Although he is one of the strongest S-class magicians in the guild, he is handsome and bold, and he also has the temperament of a leader. But often, deep down in the heart of this kind of girl, there is a side that few people know, and only the people closest to her can show it. Back in reality, Mo Bai stepped forward in 3 steps and took out the order directly. I choose the A-level mission to defeat Vulcan. Uproar. The onlookers wanted to say something, but Erza looked back and frightened them to the spot without moving. I admire your courage in choosing Class A for your first commission. But don't worry, even if you encounter danger, I will take you back to the guild safely. Erza turned to Mo Bai and said, Actually, I'm not that good. Mo Bai replied weakly. Erza smiled and patted Mo Bai's shoulder gently. I'm not saying you are weak. I just want to protect you. Give the order form to Mira for registration, and we will set off now. Before Mo Bai could react, he suddenly felt an unknown force on his neck. Immediately, his entire head was brought down, and his vision gradually became dark. Erza has a habit of burying other people's heads in her chest. But can you take off your armor first next time? This thing is really hard. What's the difference between hitting it against a rock? Although this is considered physical intimacy. However, through the tough armor, Mo Bai did not take advantage of Erza at all. So he had to go to Mira Jane to register while covering his painful forehead. Everyone, let's go first. Until the 2 figures disappeared in front of the door. In an instant, the noise in the hall returned to its previous state. Mikao, I remember that you were kidnapped by Vulcan last time to be the village's wife, right? The first half is right, but what's the second half? With Erza here, they shouldn't have much of a problem. Are you kidding? The content of the commission is to get the head of the king of Vulcan, which is incomparable to ordinary Vulcans. Plus, it's Mount Hakoba. If there's a snowstorm, perhaps Erza can do it alone if she brings someone new with her. Oh, don't worry too much. In the chaos, I suddenly heard the old man's voice and saw Makarov sitting leisurely at the front desk, as usual, casual and uninhibited. President, Makarov said quite casually, don't worry about being in danger. This new member is very strong. Is that so? But speaking of Erza's return just now, where did you go, President? Isn't it because you were afraid of being scolded by her that you hid? Talk too much. Chapter 6. First encounter with Vulcan. Dragon Slayer first shows his power. Hakob Mountain. After just riding a carriage for dozens of miles, you can already see the snow-white mountains covered in silver. Mo Bai couldn't help but shudder. Erza looked ahead and said thoughtfully, Climb this snow slope and you will reach the area where Vulcan is often found. While the weather is not bad now, try to find the king of Vulcan as soon as possible. Mo Bai moved forward step by step. Although the weather was still sunny, the snow covered his entire feet. Pay attention to safety and be careful not to step in the air or slip. Erza kept reminding her. Mo Bai followed behind him and smiled bitterly. I am also a magician. You don't need to think of me like a child, right? Yeah, indeed. But what is your magic? Erza asked. Well, you'll know later when we fight. Mo Bai Kiankian sold it out. But when he said it, he was still a little excited. As we go deeper into the snow, the road becomes steeper and the snow gradually becomes thicker, reaching up to our ankles. Mo Bai suddenly had an idea. I remember that I have a dragon-slaying magic crystal with water properties in my body. Maybe eating snow on the ground can increase my magic power. Just roll up a snowball, and Mo Bai will throw it directly into your mouth. As the cold feeling melted from the mouth, the energy did recover, but it was pitiful. It is incomparable to the energy gained from swallowing rocks before. While Mo Bai was thinking, Erza beside him suddenly stretched out his arm to stop him. At 1 o'clock, there is Vulcan hidden on the hill. Ouch! As soon as Erza finished speaking, a group of white ape-like monsters swooped down from above and rushed towards the two of them. It was the Vulcan they wanted to attack. Vulcan has lived in Huckabee Mountain all year round, and his body structure has already adapted to this place. The speed in the snow was actually faster, and in the blink of an eye he was face to face with Mo Bai. A rough estimate is that the number has reached more than 30. What makes Mo Bai ashamed is that these Vulcans don't seem to be interested in him. Instead, they all gathered around Erza, their lustful eyes scanning Erza's body unscrupulously. Change your clothes? Heavenly wheel armor. Erza was not sloppy at all. With the rotation of the magic circle under her body, the original armor on her body was replaced instantly. Ouch! After changing clothes, more of Erza's snow-white skin was exposed, and the Vulcans immediately let out screams of excitement. As one of Fairy Tale's S-class wizards, Erza is best at cross-dressing magic, adjusting her armor and offensive and defensive methods through different battles. In the end, he won with abundant magic power and extraordinary physical skills. The heavenly wheel armor being used at the moment was made of steel on the outside, with 4 steel wings attached to its back, best suited for dealing with large numbers of enemies. Erza was seen holding swords in both hands, and as the magic power continued to be released, more than a dozen sharp swords appeared out of thin air around her. Heavenly Wheel, Sword of Chaos. When the sharp sword was released, Vulcan, who was the closest, bore the brunt of the attack. His body was directly penetrated and he fell into the snow. A creature like Vulcan was insignificant and bullied. Seeing that its companions could be killed so easily, they all couldn't help but take a few steps back. Is this woman so fierce? In contrast, the person next to her seems to have not taken any action until now. Maybe just a muggle who doesn't know magic? The leader, Vulcan, thought so, and waved directly to the remaining dozen companions behind him, and barked a few times. Then he rushed directly in the direction of Mo Bai. Damn it! Sensing Vulcan's movements, Erza waved her swords and chopped down the 2 Vulcans in front of her, preparing to support Mo Bai. For more gathered beside him. Mo Bai, watch out! Unable to escape quickly, Erza could only shout into the distance. Mo Bai still chose to stay where he was, letting the dozens of Vulcans crawl towards him at high speed, while he secretly observed their positions. Almost all on the same line. Magic power continues to accumulate from within the body. Mo Bai carefully felt the fluctuations of magic power, rushing from his abdominal cavity to his throat, and his cheeks bulged bigger and bigger. Just when Vulcan stepped hard with the soles of his feet, preparing to fly into the air to attack, a hot breath suddenly erupted. The roar of the fire dragon. Mo Bai's dragon-killing power hit the Vulcan group right in the middle, and the scorching and majestic flames enveloped all the Vulcans, letting out shrill screams one after another. Without even a chance to escape, his body had been burned to charcoal. They probably never dreamed that a guy they regarded as a muggle could breathe fire. Erza on the side looked at what was happening in front of her in astonishment. This is the dragon-slaying magic of fire. She was very familiar with this attack method. It was almost the same as Natsu. Besides Natsu, are there other fire dragon slayers? Could it be that Mo Bai also learned the magic from the fire dragon? The current crisis has not been completely resolved. Erza could not tolerate being distracted and turn around to deal with Vulcan on her side. However, now that she has learned that Mo Bai's great strength does not require her own protection, Erza is more able to engage in battle. After a minute, only 2 people were still standing. Erza looked around at the traces of Mo Bai's battle. The old white snow that originally covered it has been completely melted away by the torrential flames, revealing the bare mountain topography. This kind of destructive power, I'm afraid it won't be weaker than Natsu. Erza had a basic judgment about Mo Bai in her heart. After resolving his own battle, Mo Bai slowly walked towards Erza. Erza tilted her head and showed an interested smile. I did underestimate you at first. It seems that the president has brought us a new Dragon Slayer mage. However, you and Natsu are both fire dragon slayers. Could it be that you were also raised by dragons, and can you replenish your magic power by swallowing fire? Mo Bai scratched his head. It's a bit hard to say. To put it simply, I obtained the dragon-slaying magic by implanting a rare dragon-slaying magic crystal into my body. I have never seen a dragon, but I can indeed use it to fire as food. Maybe I just happen to have the same attributes as Natsu. Erza nodded slightly disappointed. She had heard from Natsu a long time ago that dragon-slaying magic was taught by the dragon himself. But one day, the fire dragon who raised him suddenly disappeared, and there has been no news until now. In Mo Bai's case, it seems impossible to provide him with any clues. Erza naturally didn't know that Mo Bai had already known everything through God's perspective. The reason why I didn't disclose it is because I just joined the guild, and the time is not yet ripe. Vulcan's corpses lay scattered on the exposed, snow-capped, rocky ground. And all of this was the work of two magicians who were heading deep into the snow-capped mountains. Time passed by minute. The sunshine that could still be felt vaguely was quietly covered by the clouds, and tiny bits of snowflakes slowly fell. Chapter 7: A tornado blows on a snowy mountain? Is this reasonable? Speaking of which, Huckabee Mountain is quite big, and we have been walking for such a long time. Mo Bai just finished speaking. Next to her, Erza suddenly stopped and looked into the distance, alertly saying, "Be careful. The spherical ice cave in front is Vulcan's lair. The number may be several times that encounter before. In addition, a few Vulcans have magical powers and can use magic reception, which will make them very difficult to fight. And what we have to face is the King of Vulcan. According to rumors, the King of Vulcan's magic power is extremely strong, not even weaker than that of ordinary magicians. There is also a theory that the King of Vulcan can control the weather here. When he is angry, he can even summon a blizzard to directly bury the warriors who come to conquer. In short, this will be an extremely dangerous opponent." Erza's expression was serious, and her tone revealed her fear of the King of Vulcan. If it's so dangerous, why is it just an A-level mission? Mo Bai wondered. Because the client is only willing to pay 400,000 J and has refused to increase it, this commission has been posted in the guild and no one cares about it. Originally, I wanted to come here alone to solve it, but I didn't expect that you also took a fancy to it. This commission, Erza explained, and Mo Bai was quite speechless. What a ridiculous reason. Stop! Erza suddenly increased her volume and stared at the sky in the distance. The clouds there don't look right. There seems to be magic fluctuations. In just a few seconds, the two of them suddenly felt strong winds and snowflakes rolling up, making it difficult for them to maintain their balance. In the sky, dark clouds gathered quietly, which was disturbing. "Get me!" Erza suddenly thrust the sword deeply into the ground and shouted to Mo Bai. Mo Bai turned his head slightly and stared in the direction of the storm, his eyes sharp. Although his vision slowly dimmed, he still spotted a blurry black figure in the distance, slowly moving towards him. Suddenly, a huge funnel-shaped cloud pillar hung down from the clouds, connecting the sky and the earth. It rotates at an astonishing speed, carrying the power that seems to destroy everything. A tornado? A tornado blowing on a snowy mountain? Is this reasonable? It's the King of Vulcan, although Huckabee Mountain is covered with ice and snow all year round. There has never been such an abnormality. Erza speculated with a solemn expression. It seems that beast has realized that we are threatening it and wants to take action first. Mo Bai said while checking the surrounding environment. There are snow hills all around, and he and Erza happen to be at the lowest point of the terrain. Not only that, on the horizon in all directions, a huge mass of black and dense things gathered at some unknown time. It's Vulcan. Judging from the size, they are much larger than those encountered before. The number is also even more astonishing. These beasts are not stupid. They know how to use the terrain to lay ambushes. Seeing that the encirclement was getting smaller and smaller, and the tornado was gradually approaching, Mo Bai finally saw the giant Vulcan shaking its head in the air in front of him. Apparently, it is the King of Vulcan, the initiator of summoning tornadoes. Ouch! The King of Vulcan let out an ape cry, and the Vulcan minions who had been marching together suddenly stopped moving forward and stood at the highest point of the snow slope. The tornadoes were mixed in the encirclement, constantly releasing death signals towards Mo Bai and Erza. It seems that the king of Vulcan wants to trap us inside. There are slopes all around, and it will be very difficult to break through. Change up. While analyzing the situation, Erza chose the armor of Purgatory, which had stronger close combat capabilities. He vowed to fight his way out. The defense on the left is the weakest. Let's break out from there. Follow me. Mo Bai? Erza's constant urging reached his ears. Mo Bai's eyes were always on the tornado that was getting bigger and closer, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. Maybe I have a way to solve that thing. What you up to? Mo Bai ignored Erza's question this time. His eyes were like a torch, and he took a deep breath in the direction of the tornado. Ouch! When the king of Vulcan saw Mo Bai's unusual behavior while still standing there, he thought he had been frightened by the tornado and roared mockingly. But the next second, it stopped laughing. Under the watchful eyes of dozens of Vulcans, the tornado that originally carried overwhelming destructive power seemed to be under human control at this moment. It turned into wisps of concentrated energy beams and continued to flow into Mo Bai's mouth. Super strong suction power, incredible. Seeing that the power continued to decrease, the Vulcan King hurriedly activated the magic power in his body to strengthen the tornado. As the magic power continued to pour out, the tornado suddenly exploded with stronger momentum, and the sound was shocking. It even directly involved several Vulcan minions who were approaching, and their bodies were torn to pieces in an instant. When Mo Bai saw this, he also exerted a little force to increase the frequency of inhalation. The king of Vulcan finally realized something was wrong. The human in front of me ate all the tornadoes he had summoned with all his strength without even using any magic. As the magic power continued to be consumed and fatigue invaded, the two ape arms of the king of Vulcan continued to tremble, and the momentum of the tornado weakened, until the last ray of storm energy surged in the direction of Mo Bai, allowing it to be absorbed. Erza's beautiful eyes also shone with confusion and shock. Did you inhale the storm into your body? Aren't you the fire dragon slayer mage? The last trace of magic power in the king of Vulcan was finally drained out, and he lay helplessly on the snowy slope, breathing heavily. On the other hand, Mo Bai was full of energy, and his magic power was even more abundant than when they first met. Mo Bai smiled confidently at Erza. When you eat it, your strength will come out. We'll talk about these things later. Next, it's time for us to fight back. The power of the storm was flowing in his body, and Mo Bai could feel it. This was a huge power that had never been seen before, far exceeding the magic power he had when fighting the rhinoceros. It's a pity. I thought that the storm dragon would be able to recover its magic power by eating air, but I didn't expect that it could only swallow the storm. But at least, it's enough to cope with the current situation. The wings slowly appeared on his back, and Mo Bai gently lowered his center of gravity. The body flew out like an arrow from the string. In the eyes of the king of Vulcan, because Mo Bai's figure moved too fast, unable to detect it at all, only the snowflakes kicked up during the blitz could be seen. The king of Vulcan was completely panicked, but little did he know that Mo Bai had already arrived behind it. Storm Dragon's wings strike. When Mo Bai's figure became clear, the mountain-like body of the king of Vulcan had already fallen, splashing large waves of snow. The approaching Vulcan minions were horrified to discover that the sharp horn on their leader's head had been cut off. Also surprised was Mo Bai's teammate, Erza. The action was too fast. Even if it were me, I wouldn't be able to kill the Vulcan King and still get its sharp horn at the same time. Dusting off the snowflakes on his body, Mo Bai played with the sharp corners in his hand quite casually. Your boss is already dead. If you don't want to end up like him, it's best to disappear from my sight immediately. Ouch, ouch. The trees fell and the hosen scattered. Amidst the wails of Vulcan, Mo Bai slowly returned to Erza, raised the horn in his hand, and showed a bright smile of victory. Chapter 8. How much are you hiding? In the evening, the sun began to slowly set in the west, and the sky was dyed orange-red. As the outline gradually blurred, the light gradually softened. Mo Bai and Erza had already walked out of Hako Mountain. Looking at the getting dark sky, we decided to continue our journey tomorrow. Bonfire. Two wooden skewers with fish skewered on them are baked on it, making a crackling sound and gradually releasing the aroma. Mo Bai was quite looking forward to this dinner. But the strange eyes of his teammates next to him always stayed on his side, making him feel uncomfortable. Mo Bai tactically coughed twice, grabbed the half-cooked fish, and put it in his mouth. The taste is fishy, but instead of spitting it out, Mo Bai bit faster. Not long after a fish was eaten clean, I noticed that Erza was still looking at her with that look. Mo Bai finally couldn't hold it back. Sister, you have been staring at my face since just now. Are there magic words on it? No, I'm just curious about how much strength you hide. Haven't you seen them all? Fire Dragon Slayer Mage and Storm Dragon Slayer Mage. Well, by the way, they can fly. What else? Erza's eyes never moved away from her position, always believing that Mo Bai had hidden his strength. Mo Bai felt guilty after being seen. A long while, only then did a few more words come out of his mouth. Also, and the Iron Dragon Slaying Magic. What else? And the Brontosaurus. What else? There's water, wood, rock, soil, it's all gone. That's it. Mo Bai spread his hands helplessly and said. I thought Erza would question it, but she didn't expect her to laugh directly. 8 dragon-slaying powers? It seems that I really underestimated you. An A-level mission of this level is too simple for you. Mo Bai shrugged noncommittally. I heard you say before that besides Natsu, there is an Iron Dragon Slayer named Gajeel in the guild. As someone who has been there, Mo Bai is naturally familiar with Gajeel, and now I raise this question deliberately to take a look at the timeline and see what will happen next. Erza said, Gajeel. Speaking of which, he was not a member of our guild not long ago, but came from another hostile guild, Phantom Lord. After we fought against the Phantom Lord, Gajeel directly used his dragon-slaying power to destroy the guild. What you see now is the rebuilt fairy tale. But according to the president's wishes, since he is already a companion, the past matters will no longer be pursued. During this time, Gajeel has also been trying his best to integrate into us. Is this so? Mo Bai rubbed his chin and thought. After listening to Erza's story, he had a general idea of the current time here. Mo Bai recalled the scene when Makarov just brought him back to the guild this morning. He vaguely remembered that there seemed to be a young man in a black coat on the second floor who had been watching the crowd's commotion, but said nothing the whole time. That must be the guild president's grandson, the Thunder Dragon Slayer Mage Laxus. It seems like he is still in the guild. I remember that he is still a reckless man who only pursues strong strength. It won't be long before he will start a civil war because he cannot tolerate the laxness of the current guild. If we calculate based on this time period after the war with the ghosts, it was also before the Civil War. Thinking of this, Mo Bai's pupils suddenly dilated and his body shook twice. At this moment, he finally figured out the timeline and understood what time it was now. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Erza asked with concern. However, Mo Bai quickly regained his composure, smiled and said it was nothing, and then changed the subject. Go to rest early, I'll keep watch. Erza nodded. Okay, if you feel tired, you can call me to take over at any time. Your magic power consumption is not small today. Don't forget that I am a dragon slayer. Compared with the devouring storm, the magic power consumed is nothing. Mo Bai rolled his eyes and said, The missing moon hangs on the sycamore trees. The leakage breaks people's initial tranquility. Turning her head to look beside her, Erza was sleeping peacefully, her breathing gradually becoming even. Mo Bai stood up and took off his coat, covering her lightly. After the war with the ghosts, and before the civil war at Fairy Tale. If nothing else happens, the next step will be the Tower of Paradise incident. Do you still have to pick up the courage to face the pain of the past? But now that I am by your side, you will not suffer that kind of injustice. The next morning, inside the Fairy Tale Guild. President, haven't Erza and Mo Bai come back yet? Mountain Hakoba is not close to Magnolia, and they're going to the deepest point. How can it be so fast? But why are you in a hurry? I bet 2,000 J on Kana, and they will come back today. Mikao, you are an old member. Can you set an example for the children? By the way, where is Kana? I want to bet 20,000 J. We are back. While the two were discussing, A familiar voice suddenly sounded outside the house. Then the door was kicked open. Everyone's eyes were attracted together. Clang! Erza punched Mo Bai on the head. Does the door open with your feet? Sorry. I won't dare to do it next time. Mo Bai rubbed his sore head and cursed President Makarov in his heart. He didn't learn this from him. Seeing the two men coming back, everyone in the guild who had been noisy immediately gathered around them. How's it going? Is work going well? Coming back so soon, you must have completed the commission, right? I bet 500J that you will be victorious today. And me, I bet 2,000. But how did you deal with the king of Vulcan? I heard that that big guy is extremely dangerous. With Erza here, how could it possibly fail? Mo Bai was overwhelmed by the lively discussions. It went pretty well. The client is the blacksmith at Harujan Port. Although the reward was only 400,000 J, he used the remaining sharp-edge materials to help Erza strengthen the armor, which can be considered an unexpected gain. That's right. That's worthy of being the most dangerous A-level mission. After barely answering everyone's questions, Mo Bai finally squeezed to the front desk. Only then did he find Makarov in tears. President, what's wrong with you? You came back too early. I haven't had time to find Kana to place a bet. After a while, everyone sat together and listened to Erza talk about the whole process of the commission. Without exception, the mouths opened into an O shape. What? Did I hear you correctly? You mean you didn't take any part in this work, and Mo Bai did it all by himself? That's right, including the final battle against the king of Vulcan. Missouri Bai defeated him all by himself. Erza smiled. The members of the guild all knew that she would not be joking about this kind of thing. They all looked at this newcomer who just came to report yesterday with surprised eyes. Erza added, in terms of strength alone, Mo Bai is not below me. He has at least reached the level of an S-class mage. S-class wizard, or at least. Everyone was surprised again. They just heard from the president yesterday that Mo Bai was very strong. But he didn't expect that there was such a domineering and fierce side beneath his simple and easygoing appearance. Mo Bai looked as if nothing had happened. Ahem, it's just a fluke. Mira, have a cappuccino. Chapter 9, Patrick's Behavior. As for the reward, the blacksmith has helped me strengthen the armor. Mo Bai, the 400,000 J is all yours. Erza said suddenly. Well, since we are forming a team, the rewards should be shared equally, right? Seeing that Erza still wanted to persist, Mo Bai added, there's no need to be so polite. We can continue to form a team in the future. If I try to catch fish sometime, I'll just share your share equally as usual. There's really nothing I can do about you. Erza chuckled and casually buried Mo Bai's head into her chest. Mo Bai knocked against the hard armor again without any surprise. So hard! Mo Bai cried loudly in his heart, but he couldn't express the pain. I thought that one day I would make Erza do this without wearing armor. I can't believe it will still be so tough then. Erza suddenly said, by the way, Lucy came to me just now and invited us to go to the resort hotel to relax. You should have time too, right? Vacation? Mo Bai instantly became alert. It seems that the time speculated before is correct. When Erza was at the seaside resort, she was brought to the Paradise Tower again by her former companions. The Tower of Paradise was the most painful place for her. Okay, naturally, Mo Bai could no longer let Erza bear all this alone, so he agreed happily. Hey Mo Bai, I heard you were quite strong. Do you want to challenge me? I'm excited. Hearing someone calling him from behind, Mo Bai looked back, but there was no one in sight. There was a scream from above. Looking next to him, Erza raised her arm slightly. Looking up along her arm, she realized that Natsu had already been slapped away by her and was embedded in the ceiling. Don't fight all day, Natsu. Pack your bags, and we're going on vacation. Happy, remember to dig him down from the ceiling. Gray, get dressed. Looking at Erza, who returned to her appearance as a disciplinary committee member before leaving, Mo Bai smiled awkwardly and looked at Lucy next to him. Hello, my name is Lucy. I am a celestial spirit mage, and I have just joined the guild not long ago. Mo Bai extended his hand to Lucy in a friendly manner. Mo Bai, please take care of me. Before he came here, Erza, Lucy, Gray, Natsu, and his flying cat partner Happy formed the strongest team in the entire guild. At the same time, it also constitutes Mo Bai's youth. After more than a day of turbulence, the 5 people and 1 cat finally arrived at the resort the next morning. After Lucy showed the VIP tickets for 4 people, the etiquette lady at the front desk immediately showed her respect and called the waiter for help. As for Mo Bai's share, Erza insisted on her paying it in advance, and Mo Bai naturally couldn't resist her. Looking at the waiter with thin arms and legs, Mo Bai couldn't help but ask, "My 2 bags are very heavy. Are you sure you can carry them?" "No problem. This is what I should do first, sir." As soon as he took the bag from Mo Bai, the waiter's expression immediately turned ferocious, and his waist bent uncontrollably. Bang! The bag hit the ground hard. The waiter turned pale with fright and apologized to Mo Bai repeatedly. "If something goes wrong after just 2 days on the job, I'm afraid I'll be scolded by the boss." Mo Bai waved his hand to indicate that it was okay. "Forget it. I'll do it myself." This move attracted the attention of Lucy next to her. Lucy couldn't help but ask, "What did you bring, Mo Bai? It's so heavy, it can't be 2 stones, right? How do you know?" "Why?" Under Lucy's doubtful eyes, Mo Bai opened the 2 bags as if nothing had happened. Inside are 2 square rocks. Stuff the entire bag to the brim. Lucy's face was covered with black lines, and she said quite speechlessly, "No, you really brought 2 stones? Spare food, spare food." Mo Bai said. Erza explained from the side. "He is a dragon slayer like Natsu." Lucy's face looked better after hearing this. Only the guy who helped Mo Bai move things just now is still doubting life. The rooms for several people are on the 11th floor and have good views and lighting. After unloading their luggage, Natsu clamored to go to the beach to have fun. Except for Erza, who said she wanted to rest, the others were happy to do so. Gray suddenly felt proud. "Ah, sunshine. Beach, I can finally take off my clothes without any scruples. Gray, you can take off your shirt and put on your underwear." "Ah? When did I take it off? Why am I hanging out with this naked pervert? It just so happens that Erza isn't here, Flame Soul Dan. Let's have a good time today. I'm on fire." "Stop. Don't fight anymore." AI. Without Erza's control, Gray and Natsu started fighting each other with punches and kicks. Looking at Lucy's pleading eyes, Mo Bai could only shrug. He said he had no idea. "That's all. Stay until the sun sets." Mo Bai looked at the golden clouds on the horizon and murmured to himself, "It's almost time. Erza's former companion will be here soon, right?" But he looked at Natsu and Gray, who had been fighting all afternoon. At this time, both of them were beaten to death and turned into 2 pig heads with bruises and swollen faces. Mo Bai sighed helplessly. "It seems we have to drag them back to the hotel first, until these 2 idiots are settled." Lucy, happy, also returned to the room. Standing alone in the hotel corridor, Mo Bai did not return to his residence, but walked to the deepest part of the corridor and stopped in front of the door at the end. "This is Erza's room. According to the original plot, her old friend will show up tonight and take her away. We have to find a way to protect her." Mo Bai took a deep breath, stepped forward, and knocked on the door gently. Chapter 10 1 against 4. Protect Erza inside the house. Dong dong. Erza, who was sunbathing on the balcony chair, suddenly woke up and looked around blankly. "Did I fall asleep?" Recalling the nightmare, just now, I returned to the purgatory of my childhood. Erza couldn't stop her heart palpitating. Dong dong. The knock on the door sounded again. Wiping the cold sweat from her forehead, Erza took a breath and then opened the door. Mo Bai. Mo Bai smiled and suggested, "How about taking a walk outside? I heard that the night view of the beach here is beautiful." "Okay, wait for me." Erza readily agreed, and a bright light appeared on her body. He resumed his usual armor attire, but he found that Mo Bai was looking at him with a strange look at this moment. "What's wrong?" Mo Bai asked. "I'm not eldest sister. Don't you think this is strange? How can anyone walk on the beach and wear armor and a sword?" Hearing this, Erza actually became a little shy for a moment. "Armor can make me feel more at ease." "Are you worried?" Mo Bai asked. Erza, who had always been forthright, seemed hesitant at the moment. Seeing this, Mo Bai stopped asking too much. He naturally knew that Erza at this moment was only strong on the outside, but she was extremely insecure inside. When the 2 of them arrived at the beach again, The moon is already shining in the sky. Almost all the tourists were gone, and in the vast open space, only a few dim lights were still on. Erza turned her head helplessly and asked, "Is this the beautiful night scene you were talking about?" I just heard it. It seems I was deceived." Mo Bai smiled awkwardly and found some excuse to excuse himself. He doesn't care about drinking anymore. The main purpose of asking Erza out is to protect her. At the same time, suddenly a ship sailed on the distant sea, and the melodious sound of a flute floated over. Mo Bai noticed it immediately, and immediately narrowed his eyes slightly, staring at the movements on the ship. Is it really here? But at this moment, Erza didn't notice anything unusual and suggested, "How about we find a bright place?" Mo Bai shook his head slightly and pointed towards the distance. "Did you see that ship?" Erza looked in the direction, and even though the light was not good, she could still see the ships parked on the shore. For men in cloaks slowly appeared from above and were walking in their direction. Magic power fluctuations faintly spread out. Then, Erza also realized that something seemed wrong, and her right hand instinctively touched the hilt of her sword. "Maybe they're coming for you," Mo Bai said softly. Erza was startled. "Me?" The figures of the four people got closer and closer. Seeing Erza's confused look, Mo Bai stopped explaining too much and directly protected her behind him. The other party walked to about 50 meters away. The cloaked man on the far right suddenly raised his arm, and a beam of red light hit Mo Bai's eyebrows. Not waiting for Erza's reaction, a dense volley of gunfire and bullets came over. Mo Bai, steel skin. When the smoke cleared, Mo Bai activated the Iron Dragon power at the last moment. At this moment, his skin was as dark as a layer of iron armor and scathed. Erza breathed a sigh of relief. "Stay here and don't move. I'm going to explore the truth." Put down the next sentence. Mo Bai's figure is like electricity. In an instant, he shuttled behind the cloaked man who had just attacked him. The majestic electric current gathered from his fists and hit the opponent's back hard. Jaws of the Brontosaurus. Screams came from beneath him, and under the strong stimulation of thunder and lightning, even the other three people next to him felt slightly paralyzed. "Wally!" The other cloaked man called out the name of his fallen comrade and quietly took out a stack of magic cards from his body, but suddenly felt a storm coming in front of him. "The sting hurt my face. Why is the wind blowing?" "No, this is that guy's magic." When he reacted, he suddenly found that his hands were already empty. The card had already been torn into pieces by the strong wind. On the other side, as Mo Bai took a sharp breath, the power of the storm surged out of his chest. The moment they opened their mouths, they gathered at the top and suddenly exploded. The roar of the storm dragon. Take advantage of Mo Bai to release his magic. Another cloaked man stepped aside and pulled out a long whip from his waist. "Be tied up obediently," meowed the long whip snake forward, about to bind Mo Bai. The roots of the wooden dragon are entangled. Mo Bai suddenly took out his left hand and threw it towards him. As his wrist turned, a thick vine grew out of thin air under the cloaked man. The cloaked man had to withdraw his long whip and concentrate his magic power on his feet, as the magic power continued to bombard the vines. However, the vines became more and more lush and strong, constantly climbing up from the ground until they tightly bound the cloaked man's body, making him unable to move anymore. After taking care of the three people in one go, Mo Bai looked into the distance and was about to take the next step. The tall, cloaked man at the end suddenly exuded a strange magic power. Mo Bai's mind sank, his vision became dim, and his hearing also decreased. It was as if the whole person was isolated from the world and the mute button was pressed. Dark moment. In the blur, a tall, cloaked man suddenly appeared behind Mo Bai, but Mo Bai was still groping forward and never looked back. Purple-black magic power gathered from his hands. Aiming at Mo Bai's head, the cloaked man's palm suddenly struck out, but at the moment of contact, Mo Bai's figure disappeared instantly. Sensing something was wrong, the cloaked man hurriedly withdrew his magic power, but Mo Bai's calm voice came to his ears. "Sorry, my 5 senses are stronger than those of ordinary dragon slayers. Fire Dragon's Iron Fist." The flames shone brightly, and the firelight illuminated a large area of the beach. The exploding fire fist landed on the cloaked man's abdomen and was rushed away by the huge magic power. His vision and hearing returned to normal. At this point, Mo Bai took action to deal with the last cloaked man. Mo Bai wiped off the sand on his trousers and breathed a sigh of relief. How is it possible? The cloaked man, entangled by the wooden dragon's beard, struggled desperately, trying to break free with magic power. On the contrary, Mushu's vitality became more vigorous until it spread all over his body. Seeing that the magic power was about to be exhausted, the cloaked man finally shouted hysterically, "Erza, kill us!" It's a female voice. "Who are you?" Ever since Mo Bai fought the four people just now, Erza felt vaguely familiar with them. At this moment, she finally approached the girl who was speaking and took off her cloak. Miliana? Why is it you?" Underneath the disguise, it turned out to be the face of an old friend with tears streaming down his face. Erza's heart trembled as scenes from the past flooded into her mind. Miliana had already snorted softly, gritted her teeth to stop her tears, turned her face to the side, and ignored Erza. "Where have you been all these years?" "Of course I want to live a good life on the Tower of Paradise, sister." Hearing the voice from behind, Erza looked back and saw the faces of the other two cloaked men who had been knocked down by Mo Bai. "Wally? Xiao? You?" Seeing that the two cloaked men wanted to get close to Erza, Mo Bai stood between them with an expressionless face. Having seen Mo Bai's terrifying strength, Xiaozi knew that it was impossible to match him, so he laughed sadly. As expected, Sister has finally lived the life she wanted, with such a powerful companion willing to stand in front of her. No wonder she abandoned us in the first place. "Be careful what you say," Mo Bai warned coldly. "No, it's not like that." Erza waved her hands desperately. "It's Jelal. It's ridiculous. You have forced us to this point." Xiao wanted to say something more, but a fist the size of a sandbag suddenly swung at him and stopped in front of him. The wind from the fist blew up a few strands of hair on the back of his head. Although it does not contain any magic power, it can be said to cause 0 damage. Xiao smelled an aura of extreme danger, turned his head stiffly, and saw Mo Bai's expressionless face. "Careful what you say. I don't want to remind you next time." Erza opened her mouth to say something, but remained silent in the end. The beach fell into deathly silence. For a long time, Xiao suddenly felt someone tapping him on the shoulder. Simon. Looking back, the person speaking was the last cloaked man who had just used Dark Moment to lower his 5 senses, but was killed by Mo Bai with a punch. Erza didn't lie. It is indeed Jelal who has been deceiving us. Simon stood up slowly and said, "What?" Xiao was surprised. Under the spotlight of everyone, the cloaked man finally took off his hat and looked at Erza with deep eyes. "Simon, you're all still alive?" See, Erza recognized the last of her old friends. Mo Bai gently raised his hand and removed the wooden dragon's whiskers that bound Miliana, then walked to the center of the 5 people and said, "Maybe there is some misunderstanding. It just so happens that now is a good opportunity to explain it clearly. However, if I still plan to hurt Erza, I won't hold back like I did just now." Chapter 11. Do you think I look like a living sacrifice? Simon was about to tell. Erza walked up to Mo Bai and paused, forced a smile, and spoke first. "When we were taking a walk just now, you asked me if I was worried. Just this afternoon, I dreamed that I had returned to my childhood and was taken to the Tower of Paradise to do hard labor and be a living sacrifice. It was a time that I least wanted to recall." Mo Bai waved his hand and interrupted before she finished speaking. "I don't want to tear open your scar. How about we listen to what this big man has to say first?" Erza did not compromise this time and shook her head resolutely. "No need. You will know these things sooner or later." "Well, Mo Bai looks like he really can't do anything to you. This fairy queen is so stubborn that it's heartbreaking sometimes." Erza recalled for a moment, closed her eyes lightly, and recounted the most painful past. 10 years ago, the cult that believed in dark magic captured countless laborers from nearby towns. Their purpose was to build the Tower of Paradise and complete a ritual to resurrect the dead. After the Tower of Paradise is completed, these labor forces will become the sacrifices for the initiation of the ceremony. I was one of them at that time, and Emiliana, Wally, Simon, and Show you see now, we were all slaves there. And there was Jalal. When Erza mentioned the name Jalal again, her voice suddenly became trembling. After a long while, he finally continued. I couldn't stand the inhuman abuse and called on everyone to resist for freedom, but in the end I failed. In order to save me, Jalal himself was arrested by the guards. Later, we finally rioted collectively and defeated all the prison guards, but the magic soldiers followed. Seeing that we were about to fail again, Grandpa Rob suddenly stood up and resisted the fire of the magic soldiers, but he sacrificed himself to protect me. It was then that I finally understood magic. When I entered the Tower of Paradise again, Jalal was at the top of the Tower of Paradise. But at that time, he had completely changed. He was completely different from before. He no longer cared about other people and became arrogant and violent. Gerald told me that there is no freedom in the world, and he actually wants to stay here to continue completing the ceremony of the Tower of Paradise. Perhaps it was the last trace of kindness from the bottom of his heart. Jalal did not kill me, but chose to let me leave the Tower of Paradise. But in exchange, I can't tell anyone about the Tower of Paradise. Otherwise, I will kill Wally and the others. When Erza said this, tears were already flowing down her face. Several people around him also entered the pain of memories. There was dead silence. Erza, your eyes! Simon's horrified voice sounded, breaking the silence. Only then did everyone find out in surprise. Only Erza's left. I was crying. Erza wiped away her tears and said, "It's strange, right?" The tears in her right eye have dried up. And Mo Bai turned his head to the side silently. He naturally knew that Erza had her right eye destroyed after she was tortured when she was a child and resisted the Tower of Paradise. Although after joining Fairy Tail, President Makarov took her to find someone to heal her. His eyesight was restored and he looked like a normal person, but he could no longer shed tears. The three show people except Simon were now in deep shock and suspicion. Didn't you, sister, blow up the ship and abandon us in pursuit of magic? If Jalal hadn't discovered it earlier, we would have. It's just a lie. Simon interrupted. Everything was Jalal's conspiracy. He was the one who blew up the ship, and he was the one who betrayed us. How is it possible? Looking at Shio and others who were in disbelief, Simon sighed and continued. When Erza was choked and threatened by Jalal, I was by the side. Unfortunately, my power was too small, and I couldn't stop him at all. Over the years, I have been pretending to be ignorant, just to find out Jalal's true purpose and stop him. But before that, I still want to make it clear to you that Erza has never betrayed us. Regret flooded into my heart. The three of them had already lowered their heads, not daring to look into Erza's eyes. Yes, I'm sorry. And Mo Bai thought for a while and then asked in a deep voice. The fact that you came to attack Erza this time was also Jalal's order, right? Simon nodded silently. That's right. The Tower of Paradise has been built, but two more things are needed. One is the magic elf power of the council, and the other is a magician with the power of the Holy Ten as a living sacrifice. And as far as I know, the magical elf power may already be under Jalal's control. Magical elf power is an extremely powerful and terrifying magic power. It has always been reserved as a destructive weapon by the council, the highest authority in magic here. If it is released, it can even level a small country to the ground in an instant. As for the sacrifice of a magician with comparable strength to the Holy Ten, there is no doubt that according to Jalal's original plan, it was Erza. His ambition is evident. The beach fell into an eerie silence again. For a long time, Gila wants to take Erza back as a living sacrifice. Do you think I can do that? Mo Bai suddenly said this, which shocked everyone. Simon stared, slightly puzzled. What do you mean? Don't he want a mage comparable to the Holy Ten? My strength is no worse than Erza's. If you take me back, the ritual can be completed as well. Mo Bai shrugged and acted nonchalantly. No, it's too dangerous. Erza immediately retorted. This is my past, and it is my responsibility alone. It has nothing to do with you or anyone else in Fairy Tail. seeing that Erza was stubborn again. But this time, Mo Bai was prepared. Do it! What? Erza was stunned. After hearing Mo Bai's instructions, Xiao, who originally lowered his head, took out the card without hesitation, added magic power, and threw it directly towards Erza. Erza was defenseless. The card is like a small mobile cage, instantly sucking Erza's entire body into it and sealing it. Let me out! What do you want to do? Mo Bai chuckled, walked up and patted Xiao on the shoulder. Well done. Holding the card carefully, Xiao mumbled and explained, I'm sorry, sister. When Simon was talking just now, your partner already whispered to me to prepare for action. We can't let you get hurt anymore. This is my business and has nothing to do with Mo Bai. I will go with you to find Jalal and send Mo Bai back to the hotel immediately. Erza shouted. Mo Bai paid no attention to this. He waved to several people. Let's go to the Tower of Paradise. You can take me as a living sacrifice back to pay your bills. On the sea, the ship sailed for a long time, and Mo Bai sat alone on the deck, waiting quietly to dock. Speaking of which, shouldn't the Dragon Slayer be immune to all forms of transportation? I seem to be fine. Maybe it's because the dragon-slaying power hasn't been fully awakened yet. When thinking wildly, heavy footsteps came from behind. It was Simon. Are you really sure you can deal with Jalal? Although I have seen your strength before, our magic is not at the same level as Jalal's. To be honest, Mo Bai doesn't have a clear idea of his current strength. After all, it was the first time to face such a powerful opponent. But one thing is clear. He didn't want to see Erza cry anymore. Mo Bai's eyes gradually moved into the distance, and his eyes became determined. No matter what happens later, you all stay on the boat and keep a good distance from the Tower of Paradise. I will defeat Jalal. I will let Erza see it with her own eyes. The purgatory that tortured her throughout her childhood will be completely destroyed tonight. Chapter 12: Jalal's Ambush. Standing on the deck, the dark tower in the distance reaches into the sky, giving people a strong sense of uneasiness. The surroundings are brightly lit, and countless light spots are constantly moving. It wasn't until I looked closer that I realized that it was a heavily armed night patrol force. There are thousands of people. Is it finally here? Mo Bai narrowed his eyes slightly. The wings of the storm dragon bloomed quietly on his back, and immediately his body shot out. On the shore, the patrolling garrison spotted Mo Bai's figure and immediately raised the warning signal. Spot the enemy and prepare to shoot. Dense guns and bullets were shot out at the same time, many of which were attacks enhanced by magic. Mo Bai focused all his thoughts on the wings of the storm dragon behind him and flapped the wings vigorously. The powerful wind acts like a shield, blocking all attacks. The ammunition that lost power fell into the sea one after another, causing small waves to splash. Due to the dim light in midair and the long distance, the garrison captain was not aware of this at all. He thought that the attack just now was not strong enough, so he ordered his men to attack even more hoarsely. Fire! Fire! More dense bullets came towards me. Mo Bai leaned over and looked at the vast ocean beneath him, and suddenly had an idea. It seems that the power of the water dragon has not been used yet. Now is a good opportunity. Weaving through the hail of bullets, Mo Bai was not in a hurry to get close to the Paradise Tower, but instead walked in circles. The guard captain thought it was suppressed fire that made Mo Bai afraid to run away, and ordered the shooting frequency to be increased. He won't have the strength to fly anymore. Aim closer and shoot hard for me. Every time Mo Bai glides in the air, he pours part of his magic power into the sea. After assimilating with the dragon-slaying magic power, the water surface has already set off rough waves, mixed with the impact of swallowing everything. The time has come. Mo Bai suddenly swung his arms forward. Water dragon's tide. In an instant, the waves surged up into the sky. The raging waves were like a ferocious giant beast, opening its bloody mouth to swallow everything. See, tsunami. The guards who were originally complacent and thought they had taken advantage were now frightened to death. Staring at the horrifying scene in front of him with wide eyes, his heart was filled with fear and despair. Boom! As Mo Bai's arm fell, the water completely released its force and crashed down. Regardless of whether the guards tried to hide or escape, they were all involved and became the nourishment of the sea. The wash shore takes on a new look. Only the Tower of Paradise still stood there, and conventional attacks did not seem to cause serious damage to it. And Mo Bai didn't pay too much attention to this. His goal was always the same: Jalal at the top of the tower and the core device of the Paradise Tower. At the same time, Tower of Paradise, top of the tower. In the dim room, the light was so weak that it was almost impossible to see the surrounding environment clearly, but a figure stood out. A blue-haired young man was looking down at everything that had just happened. Instead of anger, there was a bit of a sneer on his face. It was a blue-haired young man at the top of the tower, looking down at everything that had just happened in a condescending manner. But his face did not show the slightest anger or dissatisfaction. On the contrary, there was a bit of an unpredictable sneer. This person is none other than Jalal. Seeing Mo Bai's figure gradually rushing towards the direction of the tower, Jalal's mouth gradually showed a strange arc. What a powerful force. Those four losers haven't brought Erza back yet, so they still failed. However, now that the ceremony is about to begin, using the little magician who broke in as a living sacrifice seems to be a good choice. 3 feathered crows of the Assassination Guild. The plan has changed. The 3 of you are ambushing on the 2nd floor. The target is the flying magician outside the tower. Jalal waved his hand and turned his eyes to the 3 assassins hiding in the doorway. The 3 assassins moved in response, emerged from the darkness, and bowed respectfully to Jalal, happy to serve you. Outside the tower, Mo Bai controlled the wings of the storm dragon and was about to head to the top of the tower when he suddenly felt a burst of magic coming from underneath him. My heart suddenly tightened, and I quickly ducked to the side. Boom! The original location was instantly detonated by the magic light wave. Mo Bai's face looked slightly solemn. This magical power is stronger than any opponent I have seen before. Mo Bai lowered his head and saw a blue-haired young man standing at the bottom of the tower. The young man has a handsome face, but there is a strange scarlet mark on the right half of his face, which looks slightly ferocious. Gerald, seeing the blue-haired young man in front of me, Mo Bai clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes almost burst into flames. Thinking that most of the sufferings Erza had suffered were due to this person, Mo Bai wanted to punch him away. Wait, why would Jalal single-handedly come out to cause trouble for me at this time? This should be the critical moment for the launch of the Tower of Paradise ceremony. I remember that Jalal has the strength of one of the top 10 magicians of the Holy Saints. It would be easy for him to control a few thought bodies to attract attention. The missing body is a clone created by magic. For some powerful magicians, it is not difficult to create the missing body. Mo Bai felt more and more something was wrong. The Jalal who just attacked him at his feet was probably a 6-eared macaque who was just trying to divert his attention. Thinking of this, Mo Bai left Jalal alone and rushed to the top of the tower. As long as the center of the Paradise Tower can be attacked, Jalal's true body will definitely show up to defend. Fire Dragon's Iron Fist. A fire fist hit, and the magic wall on the top of the tower instantly cracked, and Mo Bai pushed it hard. Directly opened the door hardcore. But as soon as he stepped into it, the scene in front of him suddenly became blurry. The magic power in Mo Bai's body was running wildly, and only then was he able to see the true landscape clearly. Originally, the top floor was supposed to be the center with the Tower of Paradise, but it was completely empty. He looked behind him again at the position he had just entered, only to find that at some point, he was very close to the ground. This is the 2nd floor? I see. The most important core device for the Tower of Paradise will definitely not be directly exposed. This should be the magical illusion set up by Jalal, a special protection mechanism. Although in my mind, I am flying towards the top of the tower, in reality, I am swooping down. Just when Mo Bai was hesitating, a woman's voice suddenly sounded in his ears. Unfortunately, I want to inform you that the journey has come to an end. The handsome young man from the Magister's Guild. No one who has been targeted by the 3 feathered crows of the Skull and Bone Society at the same time has ever been able to leave alive. Look up. Among the 3 people, one has long hair and holds a guitar, and the makeup on his face is extremely colorful. One is wearing an owl hood. At first glance, they look like 2 perverts. Only the woman in the middle carrying the long knife looks normal. Owl, eagle, turtle dove, the three-feathered crow who assassinated the Union. As a time traveler, Mo Bai is no stranger to them. Magic is quietly brewing at Mo Bai's fingertips, and fighting spirit is ignited. I originally wanted to go directly to the top of the tower. Although there were a few twists and turns, it's not a bad idea to push all the way up from here. Take a break. You three can come together. Chapter 13, Climb the Tower. Fierce battle with the three feathered crows. Assassination has been regarded as an unreasonable way of fighting for hundreds of years. All regular guilds are prohibited from accepting assassination commissions. However, due to the generous bounties, some dark guilds that do not abide by the rules of the Senate are often happy to perform this work. The Skull and Bone Society, where three feathered crows belongs, is exactly such an organization. Do you like rock and roll? Baby, the eagle on the right screamed, and its long nails swept across the guitar, making bursts of strange sounds. The Dragon Slayer's hearing is already very sensitive, and this bomb is also very difficult to hear. When the news reached Mo Bai's ears, he was inexplicably angry. If he were put on the street to perform as a performer, not only might he not make a penny, but he would also be thrown rotten eggs. If I remember correctly, this guy's magic is to control other people to become puppets through music, so we need to get rid of him first. Thinking of this, Mo Bai's body surged with thunder and lightning. His magic power raged, and he was ready to attack at any time. So reckless? Is it my music that makes you so crazy? Eagle sneered and played the guitar harder. As the sound pressure continued to increase, a purple-black energy wave gradually formed and hit Mo Bai. But at the moment when he was hit in the chest, Mo Bai's figure turned into a golden light on the spot. It flashes briefly and then disappears. Afterimage? When the expression on Ying's face was suddenly replaced by panic. At this moment, he was horrified to realize that an even more turbulent thunder power had appeared beside him. Boom! The owl and the turtle dove quietly watched the place where the energy exploded. The eagle that was screaming arrogantly was now electrocuted into a piece of coke. Storm dragon wings. After taking out one person, Mo Bai quickly flew to the air for a bird's eye view. At the same time, the owl wearing an owl hood was also imbued with magic power and activated the rocket thruster behind it. I almost forgot. This guy can also fly. Taking advantage of the bazooka thruster, Xiao Xiao jumped left and right in midair. Whenever Mo Bai wanted to get close to him to end the battle, he quickly dodged and distanced himself. Mo Bai was so annoyed that he just wanted to end it as soon as possible and go to the top of the tower, where the power of thunder quietly emerged from his palm. There's a chance. Just when Mo Bai seized the owl's flaw and prepared to attack, he realized the murderous intention coming from behind under his feet. Moonless flow Yuksha flashes in the sky. Ikaruga's powerful magic slash slashed into the air, and Mo Bai had to free one hand to use the rock magic. The cave dragon's shield, a rock shield several meters high, emerged in time. I don't know how many times I blocked the turtle dove's attacks. Although it was riddled with holes, it managed to maintain its intact form. When Mo Bai was thinking about how to deal with the two people at the same time, Xiao Xiao suddenly accelerated and rushed towards him in his field of vision. As expected of the Assassination Guild, they take advantage of every opportunity to kill people. It's a pity that the action is still half a beat slow. With his absolutely sharp five senses, Xiao Xiao's rapid impact is not worth mentioning in Mo Bai's eyes. The moment before the two parties come into contact, Mo Bai dodged slightly sideways, reversing the situation in an instant. The opponent's sneak attack provided him with an opportunity to attack. Iron Dragon's Steel Fist. Mo Bai turned iron with one hand and struck the owl flying in front of him. In an instant, Zhao's body began to fall uncontrollably, and the force of the fall penetrated the entire second-floor road and fell to the bottom of the tower. After confirming that there was no movement from the other party, Mo Bai looked at the last remaining woman. Your slashing is very fast, but looking at it now, all your magic power is used to increase the amplification of the long sword, right? Turtle Dove smiled slightly. No wonder Jalal would let three feathered crows deal with you alone at the same time. You are very strong. I will make no reservations about the next blow. What I wish for, Wuyue flow, Garuda flash flame, flash fire? Mo Bai suddenly became interested, as if a certain keyword was triggered in his mind. Sure enough, with Ikaruga's extremely fast slash, a large amount of magical flames poured out and rushed towards Mo Bai. How can you not eat the experience that is brought to your mouth? Mo Bai was not polite. He opened his mouth wide and inhaled the storm, and the originally violent magic flame was swept away. Ikaruga's beautiful eyes were filled with shock, perhaps because she met the Dragon Slayer mage for the first time. I still can't believe that the killing move that I am proud of and has killed countless powerful people has been swallowed by the opponent without any harm? What kind of monster is he? On the other hand, Mo Bai's momentum is a bit stronger than before. When you eat it, your strength will come out. Fire Dragon's wings strike. As Mo Bai moved forward at high speed, his arms wrapped in flames collided with Turtle Dove's long knife, causing a fierce explosion. Ikaruga only felt hot all over, and the overwhelming flames seemed to melt him. The next moment, as Mo Bai's arms continued to press forward, cracks appeared in the long knife. After only half a second, it suddenly shattered. The victory has been decided. Remarkable. After uttering a few words lightly, Ikaruga fell straight to the ground. Just as Mo Bai was about to continue heading towards the top of the tower, an aggressive magic force came from his side. Scan with the sidelight of your eyes. Immediately recognize the identity of the person. Was Jalal's missing body just outside the tower? Just when Mo Bai was about to use his steel skin to resist, he suddenly felt another familiar magic power rushing in. Mo Bai had half-activated the iron skin, but he was stunned to hold it back. At this moment, he actually gave up all his defenses and completely exposed his most fragile body to Jalal's missing body. Core death. Although the missing body couldn't understand what this operation was, it still sneered and waved the meteor magic from its hand. Clang! The moment he is about to touch Mo Bai's back, a figure suddenly shot out, raising a heavy shield to block Mo Bai perfectly. The pupils of the missing body instantly dilated. Erza! At this moment, Erza is wearing silver-white diamond armor, with amazing defensive power. In a guild battle with the Phantom Lord, he single-handedly blocked the charged blow of the opponent's trump card magical convergence cannon. Erza complained in a low voice. It's really annoying. Don't you know how to defend yourself? Mo Bai smiled. I knew you would come here a long time ago. That level of card magic would definitely not be able to trap you. I didn't expect it to happen so soon. Although he was joking, Mo Bai's actions were unambiguous. Just when Jalal's thoughts were about to retreat, Mo Bai rushed forward with a sprint, and the hot wind suddenly swept across. Fire Dragon's iron fist. A look of fear flashed across the eyes of the missing body for an instant, but it only lasted for a few seconds before the whole thing was burned by the flames and turned into nothingness. Next, Jalal will be the only commander left. The wings of the storm dragon appeared, and Mo Bai was about to fly into the sky, but his arm was suddenly grabbed by Erza. Go back. I'll go find Jalal myself. Mo Bai slowly typed a question mark. What is wrong with this eldest sister? And she wants to solve it alone. There was no time to say anything. The two people's minds suddenly surged, and then a text came in. Welcome to the Tower of Paradise, you two. I am Jalal, the ruler here. The dark ritual just needs a powerful magician as a living sacrifice. If anyone wants to be the nourishment for Xerus' resurrection, you're welcome to come to me at the top of the tower. By the way, the magical elf power of the council will come here soon. I only need one living sacrifice. As for the other person, if he doesn't leave, be careful to be buried with him. The sound stopped suddenly. Mo Bai casually picked his ears and said nonchalantly, Let's go? Let's go up together? Erza gave this heartless guy a hard look. Didn't you listen to Jalal's warning just now? Seeing that she didn't move, Mo Bai spread his hands helplessly and then explained, have you ever thought about it? We were on a ship just now, so it's not convenient to use dragon-slaying magic to restrain you. I can tie you here anytime I want, and I'll go up and beat Jalal myself. I brought you here just because we are partners. I don't want you to face all this alone. Erza looked embarrassed, biting her red lips lightly with her teeth. "But you should have received what I said just now. It's very dangerous here now. It's just a threat." And Mo Bai smiled. He directly grabbed Erza's arm with his right hand and urged the storm dragon wings to fly straight to the top. "Don't worry. No one among us will die." Chapter 14, The Magical Elf Power Arrives. When Mo Bai and Erza finally rushed to the top of the tower, Jalal was sitting lazily at the end, with various magic props engraved with strange runes arranged in front of him. "I've been waiting for you for a long time, and you are still together." The roar of the fire dragon. Before Jalal could finish speaking, he felt a burst of hot magic being cast in front of him, and he quickly dodged to avoid it. Mo Bai started at 0 frame and directly changed direction to attack the top of the tower. Boom! With a loud noise, a huge corner of the tower's roof was broken open, exposing the hazy sky. Only then did Jalal realize that Mo Bai had no intention of attacking him at all. His original goal was to destroy the Tower of Paradise. If I'm not mistaken, the core devices of the Paradise Tower are all here. As long as they are destroyed, your plan will collapse, right? Mo Bai said with a smile, and raised his foot to crush the magic prop next to him. "You!" Jalal had blue veins popping out on his face, filled with murderous intent. He was obviously very angry at Mo Bai's shamelessness. "Let me guess, is the central system here?" Boom! Or maybe it's in the machine over there. Looking at the unscrupulous Mo Bai, Jalal couldn't bear it anymore and raised one hand directly above his head, and his magic power exploded. 6 consecutive stars. The celestial body flashed brightly and crashed into Mo Bai at extremely fast speeds. Mo Bai, however, acted as if he didn't see it and continued to cause havoc in his own way. Clang! The light faded. However, there was no scene in Jalal's side of Mo Bai being seriously injured by a blow. Instead, he saw a giant silver shield, which resisted the impact just now. The person who controls the giant shield is none other than Erza, who is wearing a diamond armor and looks majestic. "Gerald, it's time to make a break between us. Change your clothes." Armor of Purgatory. Jalal's eyes narrowed slightly, and a faint laugh came from his throat. "It's interesting. You're still the same after all these years, Erza." The dark black armor of Purgatory is known as Erza's second strongest armor. Its whole body is covered with spikes, and its destructive power is astonishing. Erza stared intently at the young man in front of her, who had impacted her countless times, and couldn't help but tighten her grip on the serrated steel knife. 7-star sword. After a brief confrontation, Jalal took the lead in attacking, and the dark night sky was instantly pierced by light. The Big Dipper shines, mixed with the impact of destructive magic power as it falls. Erza dodges while observing the flaws in Jalal's attack, always looking for opportunities to get close to him. However, the opponent's attack frequency was too fast, and they couldn't find a breakthrough for a while. Jalal frowned, and just as he was about to continue borrowing the power of the celestial body, he heard the faint roar of electricity in his ears. Jaws of the Thunder Dragon. Mo Bai has long stopped destroying the surrounding environment. Since Erza has no chance to attack, it will be me. Sneak attacks may be a villain's behavior. However, the bewitched Jalal in front of him was indeed a villain who deceived his companions and took human life lightly. Mo Bai played dirty tricks on him and was confident. As Jalal was knocked back by a single blow, Erza finally had a chance to breathe and readjusted her stance to prepare for the fight. Ha! A ferocious laughter reached his ears. Mo Bai and Erza both focused their attention on Jalal, who was slowly getting up. "Do you think that if you defeat me here, everything will be over? You are naive. Just now, the Senate has completed its vote, and the magical elven power will soon descend on the Tower of Paradise, and everyone will be buried with it." Erza gritted her silver teeth, confusion flashing in her eyes. How could the Senate be controlled by him? Gerald suddenly laughed wildly. "Are you curious? You will die here soon, and I have no need to hide it anymore. Everyone in the council thinks that we are twin brothers, Heroine, the 10 great magicians, but in fact, he is just a missing person of mine." As soon as these words came out, Erza's eyes were full of shock. "What?" Jelao actually used his thought's body to infiltrate the council early on and became a part of it. What's even more terrifying is that the thought body named Kikarine was rated as one of the top 10 magicians without anyone noticing. Perhaps in the battle just now, Jelao only used about half of his strength. Is it really going to end? Erza smiled bitterly and looked at Mo Bai's side, looking apologetic. However, from the first sentence Jelao said, Mo Bai has always looked indifferent and said nothing. He just looked at the dim night sky above his head. Time goes back to a few minutes ago, to the Magic Council thousands of miles away. This place represents the highest authority in the wizarding world. At this moment, the congressmen were looking at the magic crystal ball in the middle, and the atmosphere was serious. The Tower of Paradise? Is it the device that uses a large number of living sacrifices to resurrect the dead? Isn't this something that should have been destroyed 10 years ago? We only discovered it recently, and according to intelligence, the person in charge of the Tower of Paradise. As the reporter spoke, he turned his attention to the youngest member of parliament. And this youngest congressman actually looks exactly like Gerald. The controller of the Tower of Paradise is most likely Senator Chickline's twin brother, Jelao. Upon hearing this, Keyline's eyes did not waver much, and he slowly spoke under the focus of everyone's eyes. I think everyone here knows how dangerous the Tower of Paradise is. Now that the ceremony is about to start, extraordinary measures must be taken immediately to contain it. Extreme measures, you mean? Magic elf power. Chi Kellen's sonorous tone shocked the other congressman. After a long time, a hoarse voice came from the corner. The magic elf power is too dangerous. I think we should consider it in the long term. Besides, isn't Jelao your biological brother? Kikarine looked like he was killing relatives out of righteousness. As a council member, it is my responsibility to protect the stability of the magician world. Even if I have to kill Jelao with my own hands, I will not hesitate. The other congressman finally couldn't say anything more. Then let's vote according to the regulations. First of all, I am in favor of using the magical elf power. The threat to the Tower of Paradise must be eliminated as soon as possible, and I also recommend its use. It's better to be more cautious. Those in favor and those against were almost equally divided, until the last young woman in white in the corner was left, named Urudia. I agree. Urudia smiled indifferently, raised his right arm, and stood on Chickline's side. Okay, in this case, the final decision is to use the magical elf power. Please all the members present to join me in lifting the seal. Chapter 15, Breaking the Situation. As the seal was lifted bit by bit, multiple magic arrays appeared, and a strong magical aura floated out. Is it finally done? The next step is to choose the Tower of Paradise. As the position is determined, the ultimate weapon, the magic elf power, which contains huge energy, is instantly released. Under the gazes of all the congressmen, the terrifying magic power soared into the sky. About half a minute later, Mo Bai, Erza, and Jelao, who were still facing each other at the top of the tower, finally felt the terrifying impact of the magical elf power. Finally, the dark ritual is about to begin. Jelao looked up at the stormy night sky and laughed wildly. Are you still going to die here? While Erza was thinking wildly, a joking voice suddenly sounded in her ears. Would you like to give me a warm hug at the last moment of your life? It was Mo Bai who spoke. Looking at Mo Bai, who still had no formal appearance in front of her, Erza couldn't help but smile bitterly. They were working together at Hako Mountain the day before yesterday. Mo Bai's coming for vacation this time was entirely due to his own invitation. All she felt was guilt. At this moment, there was no way to refuse Mo Bai's last proposal. As the luster of the change flashed by, all the armor on Erza's body had faded away, replaced by a beautiful long dress. Gently nestle your body in Mo Bai's arms. Erza then whispered, I should have tried my best to prevent you from coming here in the first place. Mo Bai still smiled and said, It's not too late now. Didn't I say that none of us will die? Fool! With a loud roar of energy, the magic spirit power finally descended from the sky above the Tower of Paradise, rising into a white light. In an instant, Erza looked up at Mo Bai's face. His lips moved as if he wanted to say something to himself. After all, I still didn't hear it. My vision gradually became clearer. Erza opened her eyes, but he found himself still at the top of the dilapidated tower, still being hugged tightly by Mo Bai. What's going on? Jalal was still standing on the opposite side, but the look on his face no longer looked ferocious. Only surprise remained. How? How is this possible? Mo Bai said in a deep voice. According to your plan, the arrival of the magical elf power will not kill the people in the Paradise Tower at all, but will only become a key to activate the dark ritual of the Paradise Tower. Because you still need us as living sacrifices. But for some reason, now that the magical elf power has arrived, the ritual has not been started. Am I right? Hearing Mo Bai's voice, Jalal immediately raised his bloodshot eyes and stared at him. What did you do? Mo Bai shrugged, with an innocent look on his face. Just when you and Erza were fighting, I finally found the receiving device for the magical elf power in the Tower of Paradise. I have to say that your plan is very thorough. The damage I did before has almost no effect. Even if the receiving device is finally found, I can't destroy it quickly. Fortunately, I destroyed the magic power conversion system. In this way, even if you can accept the magical elf power, you can no longer turn it into the energy to activate the dark ritual. Mo Bai's voice was not loud. Every word went straight to Jalal's heart. His years of hard work were torn apart bit by bit. So, you already knew that we wouldn't die? Erza in her arms suddenly asked. Yes. Hearing this, Erza pushed Mo Bai away and put on the armor again. Mo Bai clearly saw the blush on her face. I don't know if he is angry or shy. How shameless. Ahem. Toothless or toothless, let's wait and see later. The battle is not over yet. Not far away, Jalal, who was stimulated to the limit by Mo Bai, finally broke out, and the magic power with overwhelming resentment kept pouring out. If you dare to destroy the Tower of Paradise, you must stay and become a living sacrifice, no matter how long it takes. But at some point, an identical clone appeared behind him, wearing formal attire and looking very respectable. Erza thoughtfully said, that is the body of thoughts left by Cheekline Jalal in the council. The return of the missing body means that Jalal has regained his peak strength. And Mo Bai also had to brace himself to deal with it. A hint of bloodthirst appeared on Kikarine's cold face. He took 3 steps and 2 steps at a time and jumped directly to the top of the tower. The moment his figure disappeared from Mo Bai's sight, the magic power in Jalal exploded again, even several times more terrifying than before. He is letting his missing body act as a transformation device for the magic spirit's power. Mo Bai suddenly realized. Jalal has gone so crazy that he directly chose to absorb such a huge amount of magic power. If Cheekline, the missing body, can be ranked at the bottom of the saints after Cheekline returns to his true form, Jalal will probably be ranked around 6 or 7. At this moment, Jalal, who has absorbed the power of the magical elves, has reached an extremely terrifying strength. Among the Holy 10, except for the top 4 monsters, I am afraid no one can compete with them anymore. What an amazing smell. Erza's heart trembled. Mo Bai analyzed in a deep voice. But in this case, he will not be able to hold on for long before he will be counterattacked by the magic elf's power. We still have a chance. Jalal himself obviously knew this, and he shot forward and went straight towards Mo Bai and Erza. Pay attention to defense. Steel skin. Jalal's speed and strength increased linearly with the power of the magical elves, and his left and right arms released magic power at the same time. Mo Bai could still persist in resisting, but Erza gradually fell into a disadvantage. A slight cracking sound sounded. Erza's strongest defensive diamond armor was blasted out of the gap. Seeing that the situation was not right, Mo Bai simply jumped in front of Erza and allowed the huge celestial magic to bombard the left side of his body. The cave dragon's shield. The moment the brown dragon slayer shield opened, Erza's diamond armor shattered, and she was seriously injured. It's ridiculous. Seeing that Erza fell beside him, Mo Bai had no way to retreat and once again released his magic power to block. Mo Bai sheltered under the cave dragon's strong shield. Erza stood up again to hold on to the severe pain in her body. Can we still fight? Erza nodded slightly and activated her disguise magic. In the blink of an eye, within sight, Erza no longer relied on any armor for defense. The upper body is only wrapped with a bandage around the chest, and the legs are covered in flame-patterned bloomers. The demon's sword Hong held it tightly in her hands. Mo Bai's eyes instantly filled with ecstasy. Clothes of a pure heart. Mo Bai is naturally very familiar with this outfit. Due to her childhood experiences, Erza, who had been insecure since she was a child, liked to wear armor, which in a sense formed as shackles for her. But now she finally broke this shackles and put on the clothes of pure heart. It is undoubtedly a leap in strength. Mo Bai clearly remembers how many times seemingly impossible victories were reversed by Erza with the pure heart clothes and the demon blade Hong. Chapter 16: The Secret of Dragon Destruction. The destruction of the Tower of Paradise. Bang! Another meteor struck, and the cave dragon shield that was already riddled with holes shattered into pieces. Mo Bai and Erza's figures were completely exposed, without any means of defense. Jalal had a stern smile on his face and stared at Erza playfully. "You even gave up your armor. Aren't you afraid of being killed by me?" Erza shook her head calmly. "With people around me willing to protect me, the armor is no longer needed." At this moment, Erza, who had given up all defenses, looked determined, focusing all her energy on the attack, vowing to fight until the end. The tip of the knife points forward. "Let's end it." Looking at Erza charging over, Jalal's lips curved slightly. "Raise your left arm above your head again to draw down the power of the celestial body." The bombardment of magic tore apart Erza's body mercilessly. Without the protection of her armor, she was enduring unprecedented pain every second. However, due to the disappearance of the armor, he gained more agility and successfully rushed in front of Jalal. The demon's sword Hong was chopped down. Jalal was on guard and set up a wall of starlight in front of him in time, blocking the attack instantly. "It's useless, Erza. Your fate is to become a sacrifice for Zerif's resurrection." Looking at Erza, who was at a disadvantage, Mo Bai frowned. At that time, it seemed that Natsu had eaten part of the magical elf power and finally defeated Jalal with the Dragon Slayer's secret, right? However, I have only mastered magic for a short time. Can I really release the secret of dragon slaying? And with Jalal's missing body, I can't directly absorb the magical elf power. A bold idea flashed in Mo Bai's mind. Wait, maybe I can try to combine multiple dragon-slaying magics and activate them at the same time. Seeing that Erza was still resisting despite the pain all over her body, Mo Bai no longer hesitated and tried to activate multiple dragon-slaying magics in his body at the same time. Dark. 2 fusiform crystals, 1 red and 1 yellow, responded. Fire and electricity. Are they the only 2 most commonly used? Mo Bai wanted to further experience the mystery of dragon slaying. But the storm dragon wings behind him suddenly bloomed, sending the next magic power directly. And storm. Dragon-killing magic, fusion. As 3 different strands of magic power intertwined, dragon scales appeared vaguely on Mo Bai's arms, and the fused magic powers gradually gathered together. Just when Erza was knocked back and seriously injured by Jalal's meteor magic again, the magic finally reached its peak. The secret of dragon slaying. Dragonin Kianki. Originally, Jalal had seriously injured Erza, and just when he thought he had a chance to win, at this moment he suddenly felt an extremely terrifying force coming towards him. Jalal's pupils dilated instantly, and he could vaguely see the projection of a giant dragon from Mo Bai who rushed over. An illusion. It's an illusion. True celestial magic star collapse. With the magical elf power and the power given to me by Zerif, there is no way you can defeat me. Mo Bai's eyes were determined, and his arms carried the majestic dragon-slaying power. And he suddenly swung out, and the magic power swept away. The might of the eternal dragon is intertwined with the celestial stars. An unprecedented vibration erupted, and the entire Paradise Tower trembled, inserting the demon's sword downwards. Erza climbed up with difficulty, looking at the collision of the 2's most powerful killing moves in front of her. She also felt unprecedented pressure. But what was in his eyes was obviously shock and concern for Mo Bai. Is he trying to defeat Jalal from the front? The two people facing each other stared at each other, as if they were going to tear each other apart in the next second. As the magic power continues to pour out, the surrounding space seems to be cut off. Jalal gritted his teeth and was about to use the body of thought, cheek line, to further gain the power of the magical elf power. Suddenly, severe pain spread throughout his body, and his eyes trembled suddenly. It just so happens that at this time, the backlash, feeling that the opponent's aura was weakening, Mo Bai seized the opportunity and waved down his arms wrapped in dragon-slaying magic. When Jalal wanted to defend again, he was already unable to do so. Boom! After the smoke dissipated, Mo Bai's body was in a half-bowed state, breathing heavily. It was obvious that the initial release of the dragon-slaying secret was a huge consumption. On the other hand, Jalal was blown away by the blow just now. The body hit the back wall uncontrollably, cracking thousands of gaps. Seeing Jalal's embarrassed and painful expression, Mo Bai immediately realized that he had been counterattacked by the magical elf's power. I can't imagine what will happen next. Withdraw! Squeezing out the last bit of his magic power, Mo Bai activated the wings of the storm dragon and kicked open the damaged wall. He picked up the still confused Erza with his arms and flew out of the tower. On the outside of the top of the tower, Chakir's body was convulsing and in great pain as his whole body was entangled with the power of the magical elves. Stay here, become a living sacrifice to Zerif. But at this time, Mo Bai could no longer care about so much, and it was urgent to escape. However, it only flew a few meters away. The wings of the storm dragon became illusory, and the speed slowed down a lot. Looking down, the two of them had not yet left the island. I'm afraid if I fall, I'll be shattered to pieces, Mo Bai swallowed, but suddenly felt Erza's soft call in his arms. She seemed to be holding two long, thin objects in her hands. This is rebar. I got it for you when you kicked the wall open. Mo Bai was overjoyed immediately, took the steel bar, and put it into his stomach with a few crunchy mouthfuls. The body was instantly supported by magical power. Although it was not much, it was enough to rejuvenate the withered wings. Fly very far in one breath. It wasn't until it was quite far away from the Tower of Paradise, and it was confirmed that it was temporarily safe, that it briefly stopped in the air. What's wrong? Over there at the Tower of Paradise, the magic power is becoming more and more unstable. Erza looked back after hearing this. Just a few seconds later, within sight, the top of the Paradise Tower suddenly exploded. The waves shook the earth and set off wind and waves, causing the sea to become turbulent. The majestic magic spirit power surged into the sky, breaking the dark clouds that had accumulated for a long time, revealing a few stars. Due to the destruction of the central system, the entire tower seemed to have lost its magical protection. Coupled with the tremendous pressure from the battle between a few people just now, it gradually collapsed at this moment. Completely cover up the past sins here. Boom! When the smoke and dust dissipated, only ruins remained. The painful memories of the past were buried together with the boy she had loved when she was young. Tower of Paradise, Gerald. He stared blankly at the scene happening in front of him. After a long time, Erza finally put her head to Mo Bai's ear and said in a small voice, "Thank you, Mo Bai," looking at the pale and weak Erza in his arms. Mo Bai gently stretched out his fingers to wipe away her tears. "Erza, you're right, I is crying too." "Yeah." Mo Bai was finally relieved. Both eyes shed tears normally. The knot in my heart was untied. At this point, the nightmare that has haunted Erza for 10 years comes to an end. Chapter 17, Not a Buddy. On the ship, Simon's sister, are they really okay? Shio asked. Looking at Shio's worried eyes, Simon didn't know how to explain it. Before leaving, Mo Bai specifically told him to keep a certain distance from the Paradise Tower, no matter what happened, and never leave the ship. At this moment, there is no other way but to choose to believe. Look over there. Wally's horrified voice came. Then a terrifying wave of magic power passed by, and the four of them looked into the distance in horror. The towering black tower in front suddenly collapsed. Tower of Paradise. Where's Erza? Did you see Erza come out? No one answered. The sound of distant collapse was deafening. However, all four of them lowered their eyes with sad expressions. Wait, look over there. Is it Erza-chan and her companions in the guild? Miliana's voice of surprise brought everyone back to reality. Looking in the direction of her finger, there was actually a black shadow not far away, flying slowly towards them at the moment. It seems like they are really. Looks like he was injured, but luckily he came back alive. Simon couldn't help but take a breath, his eyes filled with shock and ecstasy. That Mo Bai really did it. Destroy the Tower of Paradise, destroy the dark ritual, and return safely from Jalal's hands. How capable is he? Under the frantic beckoning of the four people, Mo Bai finally put away the storm dragon wings in midair. Holding Erza in his arms, he stood firmly on the deck. Fortunately, I lived up to my fate. Placed the seriously injured Erza in the cabin. Mo Bai took the initiative to let everyone reminisce, and he was responsible for driving the ship to take everyone back to the resort. The screen changed and we came to the cab, looking at a lot of complicated levers and buttons in front of me. Master Mo fell into deep thought. I let them rest for the sake of being cool, but now they remembered. I don't even know how to sail a boat. At a time of great distress. Crunch, the door opened. A strong man walked in, and Mo Bai looked up. Simon. According to the original plot, after the Tower of Paradise was activated, Simon blocked a key attack for Erza in order to save her. He was fatally wounded and died in the Tower of Paradise. Mo Bai had obviously noticed this a long time ago and deliberately didn't let him follow him. It indirectly saved his life. Pull the leftmost gate up, and I'll help you with the rest. Ahem, thank you very much. Under Simon's guidance, Mo Bai was in a hurry, but he finally got the ship moving. Sailing. For a long time, Simon finally couldn't hold it back and suddenly said, Actually, I've been in love with Erza ever since we were captured together in the Tower of Paradise when we were little. Puff! Mo Bai didn't hold back. No, buddy, you like her, tell me. What's going on? Simon did not have as big a reaction as Mo Bai, explaining. Thanks to you this time, the Tower of Paradise can be destroyed and Erza can be safe. You are partners in the same guild. Can you please take care of her in the future? No problem, no problem. Mo Bai agreed vaguely, and then asked, Then what are your plans next? Erza invited us to join Fairy Tail. Shio temporarily agreed, but we have already agreed to leave when the ship docks. Firstly, we don't want to cause any more trouble to Erza. Secondly, we have broken the shackles of 10 years and also want to go outside to pursue true freedom. When Simon said this, he suddenly emphasized his tone again. Please take good care of Erza. Definitely. After a while, on the beach, Mo Bai gently picked up the sleeping Erza and stood on the beach of the resort. Thanks to Simon's dark moment magic, she has already blocked out the interference from the outside world at this moment, able to sleep soundly and well. I'm really sorry for what happened earlier, young man. Before parting, Wally thought of the indiscriminate attack on Mo Bai last night and couldn't help but feel guilty. Thank you also for helping us see Jalal's true face, Miliana added on the side. Other than thanking them, the four of them really didn't know what to say. After all, it was such a big help. The moment the Tower of Paradise fell, the haze in their hearts began to dissipate. Mo Bai smiled lightly and waved his hand gently. Don't you plan to stay any longer? Join the Fairy Tail Guild. We are here. I'm afraid it will bring back my sister's painful memories. Mo Bai heard this and didn't ask any more questions. Good luck to you. The melodious flute sounded across the sky. The first warm breeze of the morning blew. Mo Bai watched the ship carrying the four people go further and further away until they could no longer see their waving figures. Completely disappeared on the horizon. The morning light flashed across Erza's face, and she opened her eyes dimly. Woke up, Erza said in confusion. Where is this? Simon and the others. After they put us back at the resort, they left, being bound by the Tower of Paradise for so long. Perhaps the pain of these 10 years can be healed only by seeing more of the outside world. All right, Erza nodded regretfully. Looking around, he noticed that his body was half suspended in the air. I don't know when I was lying in Mo Bai's arms again. His posture was exactly the same as when he escaped from the Tower of Paradise. Well, you can put me down now. I've been hugging him all the way, Not even for a while. Mo Bai curled his lips. Without armor, Erza's body is very light. It felt soft to the touch in his arms, and the warm breath kept blowing on him. Mo Bai really couldn't bear to let it go. Mo Bai. Erza. Walking on the beach, facing the rising sun, I heard a familiar shout in the distance. 3 people and a cat were running quickly towards them. Natsu, Gray Lucy, happy, looking at his guild partners. Mo Bai couldn't help but feel more at ease. Running until she was in front of her, Lucy bent down to take a breath, and then asked with concern, "Where have you been? I haven't seen anyone since last night." "Wait, why are you covered in wounds?" "It's nothing. Erza asked me to fight yesterday." "No, the fight just ended." Feeling Erza's murderous gaze in my arms, Mo by tactics coughed twice, then quietly leaned into her ear and whispered, "Maybe you think there is no need to hide these things between partners, and I respect your thoughts, but there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Let's have a good rest first. Don't forget, we only have 3 days here for vacation. It's too late to think about sad things." Erza reluctantly agreed and turned to the 3 of them with a pale smile. "Sorry, Lucy. I made you worry. I'm a little tired. I'll go back to the hotel with Mo Bai first." "Oh, okay." Looking at the 2 people's slightly intimate figures walking away from each other, Lucy suddenly felt that her face felt a little hot, and she quietly walked next to Natsu and asked in a low voice, "Natsu, do you feel that there seems to be something wrong with Erza and Mo Bai?" "Ah, is there any?" Natsu slowly typed out a question mark, scratching his head and head, but he couldn't figure out what Lucy meant. "Is there nothing wrong?" Lucy patted her head helplessly. "Oh, I really can't explain it to you." Natsu's flying cat Happy came out of nowhere, quietly flew among everyone, and suddenly asked loudly, "Does Lucy also want to be held by the princess?" Lucy blushed immediately. "No." Chapter 18. I originally wanted to keep a low profile, but now I know the result. A few days later, the 5 people and 1 cat who had a great time finally returned to the guild. Push open the door. "We're back." Silence fell. Mo Bai was also confused. "What's going on? Is it the wrong way to open it? Why is the guild so quiet today?" Looking inside, the hall seemed to be no different from usual. Mira Jane sat at the front desk, and Makarov lay lazily beside him. Everyone else is basically in their respective positions. But at this moment, no one answered, until he realized that everyone's eyes were looking over and focused on him. Mo Bai finally noticed the abnormality. "No. Why are you all staring at me? Are there magic words on my face?" Mo Bai was a little at a loss. He lowered his body slightly and walked forward slowly like a thief. However, he unexpectedly noticed that everyone's eyes were still focused on him. Wherever you go, they follow you. "Ahem, Mikao, what are you doing?" Mo Bai grabbed someone casually and asked in a low voice, half asking for help. Mikao stretched out his arm tremblingly, grabbed a copy of the Wizard's Weekly from the side, and handed it over. His eyes never moved elsewhere. "It's really strange." Mo Bai muttered softly and flipped through the magazine randomly, trying to find a reason. Then I saw an eye-catching report. I was dumbfounded on the spot. The Senate was attacked a few days ago, and the Holy 10 Great Wizards Chikrane turned out to be the memory body of Jalal, the ruler of the Tower of Paradise. After investigation, it was found that Jalal and Urudia colluded to steal the magical elf power. Their real purpose was to activate the dark ritual of the Tower of Paradise. After stabilizing the situation in the Senate, Lahar, the captain of the 4th Force Supervision Force, led the army to the scene, only to find that the Tower of Paradise had just been destroyed and collapsed. In the end, only 2 flying mysterious magicians were photographed in the air. It is inferred that these 2 people are most likely the destroyers of the Tower of Paradise. Turning the next page, a blurry back photo came into view. However, it can be vaguely distinguished from his posture and wings. This is what was photographed when he flew out with Erza in his arms. This Mo Bai was embarrassed in place. From the shooting point of view, the Senate's army happened to be in a different direction from Simon's ship. Simon and the others were not discovered now. Otherwise, they would definitely be in trouble again. Perhaps because the magic power loss was too serious at that time, Mo Bai did not notice the arrival of the Senate army. Seeing Mo Bai's strange expression, Erza and others also came over and saw the photo. Natsu picked up the magazine and looked at it carefully with gray happy, looking at the photos and then at Mo Bai. After repeating it several times, I couldn't help but question my soul. Is this you? Mo Bai smiled bitterly and gently activated the dragon-slaying power of the storm, and his wings suddenly appeared, exactly like in the photo. See, I told you this was Mo Bai. Makarov sat on the counter with a proud look on his face. As soon as the magazine was delivered to the guild, he immediately recognized Mo Bai by his wings and deduced that the person he was holding in his arms was Erza. But at that time, everyone was dubious because they had never seen the storm dragon wings with their own eyes. Now that I saw the scene in front of me, I had to believe it. The originally quiet guild was suddenly filled with lively discussions. So, the Tower of Paradise was completely destroyed by Mo Bai and Erza. I've only heard from the president that the newcomers are very strong, but I didn't expect them to be so strong. But how did they defeat Jalal? His missing body has the strength of the Holy Ten. Isn't it? Lucy's big watery eyes were filled with disbelief. The teammate who played with her in the sand for 3 days actually took the time to destroy a dark ritual device? So secretive? Is it really you? When did it happen? Erza smiled wryly and nodded. On the night of the first day of vacation. I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you right away. I originally planned to go back to the guild and explain, under the constant pressure from everyone. Mo Bai had to admit that it was indeed him and Erza who did it, and briefly described the process at that time in a few sentences. However, he deliberately did not mention the name Jalal. Worry once again brought back the painful memories of Erza, who had just come out of it. Members of the guild also found blind spots in his words. Wait, Mo Bai, you just said you used dragon-slaying magic? Same as Natsu and Gajil? Are you eating fire or iron? It looks like everything can be eaten. What? What are your attributes? Water, fire, wind, rock, wood, earth, thunder, and iron. I have 8 attributes. 8 types. Everyone felt that the 3 views they had established since practicing magic had been impacted. Most magicians will major in one kind of magic, and their own magic power will gradually adapt. As for some sub-magics, it is difficult to exert their maximum power. Generally, few people master and practice them, and they are often used as assistants. Dragon-slaying magic is even scarcer. If Natsu and Gajil master one, they're already one of the powerful combat powers of the guild. And Mo Bai actually practiced 8 different dragon-slaying magics at once? This is beyond what a pervert can describe. Simply monster. Although Makarov acted very indifferently, the joy between his brows was still difficult to conceal. What gratifies me is not how much noise you have made or how much success you have achieved, Mo Bai. It's that you already know how to protect your companions not long after you entered the guild. But in terms of strength alone, it seems that our guild will have an S-class mage with the youngest qualifications. As soon as this statement came out, everyone became more interested in talking. I wonder who is stronger and who is weaker compared to Guildarts, who has been away from the guild for 3 years. I think it's not just S level, but also the level of the top 10 magicians, right? But the Holy 10 is just a false name, used to recognize powerful magicians who have made outstanding contributions in the magic world. There are many powerful people who are not among them because they are low-key. I think the next president will be Mo Bai. Puff! Makarov finally couldn't hold it back anymore and spit out a mouthful of hot tea, then shouted, I'm not dead yet. You can go away, whatever you have to do, amid boos. The guild members finally dispersed and returned to their previous relaxed state. What no one noticed was that a blond young man wearing a black coat stood on the second floor. There is also a lightning-shaped scar on the young man's right eye, which looks slightly fierce. Mo Bai. It's interesting. Through this battle, apart from redeeming Erza, Mo Bai also had 2 biggest gains. The first is to master the simple secret of dragon slaying and have a direction for improving strength in the future. The second is to finally understand his full strength. If Jalal, who is blessed by the magical elf power, was briefly ranked around the 15th place among the saints, I dare not say that he can 100% surpass Jelao. After all, his defeat was due to the backlash of the magical elf power. And Mo Bai is at least on par with him. In terms of magic power itself, it is even slightly better than President Makarov. Chapter 19. Mo Bai's Natsu. Mo Bai was about to turn around and leave. Hey Mo Bai, since you are so strong, come and fight with me. I'm on fire. This passionate and aggressive voice. Without looking back, he could guess it was Natsu. Mo Bai spread his hands. But I just came to Magnolia not long ago, and now I don't even have a place to live. If I don't look for a house, I will sleep on the street again tonight. This is easy. Lucy. Natsu had a rare bright idea and directly summoned Lucy, who had also joined the guild not long ago. Lucy is quite experienced in where to rent a house. In this way, Mo Bai seems to have no reason to refuse. Besides, he was quite looking forward to giving Natsu a try. Mo Bai rubbed his palms. In this case, why don't you go outside and fight now? Wait, I have something else to ask you. What? Naz, who had always been straightforward, suddenly became cautious, and Mo Bai couldn't help but wonder. Under Mo Bai's doubtful gaze, Naz finally revealed the truth. You are also a dragon slayer, right? In other words, you were also raised by a dragon. Mo Bai immediately guessed what Naz wanted to know. As the first-generation dragon slayer mage, Natsu was raised by the fire dragon Igneal and taught dragon slayer magic. He has regarded Igneal as his father since he was a child. Available until July 7th, 777. Igneal suddenly disappeared. Natsu, who was still a child at the time, searched desperately, but couldn't get any clues. Until he later joined the Fairy Tale Guild, Natsu still didn't let go of the news about the fire dragon Igneal. The same is true for Gajiel, the Iron Dragon Slayer wizard of the same guild. On July 7th, 777, the Iron Dragon Metallicana, who raised him, disappeared like a human being. And this continues to this day. Mo Bai guessed that Natsu thought he was also a dragon slayer, and might have some clues. I'm sorry, Natsu. I just got the dragon-slaying magic by implanting the dragon-slaying magic crystal into my body. I wasn't raised by dragons. Is this? When Natsu heard this, a look of disappointment appeared on his face. But Mo Bai changed the topic and said immediately, I do know some of what you want to know about the whereabouts of the dragon. Are you serious? Natsu suddenly became energetic again, and his eyes flashed with excitement. Of course. As long as you can beat me in the competition later, I will tell you everything I know. Mo Bai's voice was not loud, but it fell like thunder into the guild hall. The crowd gathered together again, without knowing when. They don't care what Mo Bai said about the whereabouts of the dragon. They only care about whether there will be a fight later. So, Mo Bai accepted Naz's challenge in disguise. But the question is, how can Natsu win? Have you forgotten that he is beaten by Erza every day until he can no longer take care of himself? I bet a pack of spicy strips, Natsu will be slapped away. Where is Kana? I want to place a bet on Mo Bai to win. 10,000G. Hey, pay attention to the rules of the cards on both sides before placing your bet. The red card area represents that you think Natsu will be beaten away by Mo Bai within 5 minutes. And the blue card area represents that you think Natsu will be beaten away by Mo Bai in 5 minutes. Looking at the noisy guild members, Erza committed the disciplinary committee problem again and glanced at Makarov aside. President, aren't you going to take action to take care of them? Well, it's okay for everyone to play occasionally. Seeing Erza speak, Makarov had no choice but to put on a smile and secretly hide the hand holding the money bag behind his back, but murmured in his heart, Really, I originally wanted to place some bets with Kana. In the crowd, I don't know who said it again. Mo Bai will tell Naz the whereabouts of the dragon if he loses. But what happens after Naz loses? You're kidding. How could I lose? Natsu turned around and shouted dissatisfied. As a hot-blooded single-celled organism, he seemed to have never considered this issue. Then let Mo Bai speak for himself. What do you want me to do if you win? Mo Bai also couldn't bear to kill Naz too much. He said casually, Help me pay my rent for a year. Good. Natsu agreed without hesitation. Natsu, you have to think clearly. Happy, the flying cat, pulled Natsu's trousers and persuaded him. No need to think about it. As long as we can get the whereabouts of Iguner, the rent for 10 years will be no problem. Even Mo Bai didn't expect him to be so cheerful. Outside the guild, in the open space, members gather, and those at the forefront were Mo Bai and Naz, who had previously engaged in a battle. Then make a deal. You will tell me the news about Igneal when I defeat you. Seeing Mo Bai smiling and nodding lightly, Natsu became more motivated to fight. He kicked out his feet hard, raised his fists filled with flames, and rushed forward. Fire Dragon's Iron Fist. The Cave Dragon's Shield. Mo Bai, however, still stood there, not dodging or evading, until Natsu got close to him. Then he raised his hand to set up the giant shield. Boom! The magic collision of fire and rock stirred up wind and waves. Even everyone watching the battle felt a lot of pressure and took a small step back. Wait until the momentum of the fire fist is completely resolved by the rock shield. Mo Bai didn't move at all. A flash of astonishment flashed in Natsu's eyes, and he quickly reacted, turning sideways and changing his moves to attack again. Fire Dragon's Wing Strike. The arms wrapped in flames were swung out with all their might, like lightning strikes from dragon wings, hitting the giant shield one after another. The frequency of Natsu's attacks became faster and faster. Realizing that the light on the giant shield had dimmed, Natsu seemed to see hope of victory and immediately used his signature move. Grapple. Broken Teeth. Sword Horn. Natsu tried his best to use his magic power to attack like crazy, hitting the big brown shield one after another. Have a broken butt. The last blow. Using the momentum to jump away from Mo Bai, Natsu took a deep breath, his cheeks bulging bigger and bigger. The roar of the fire dragon. Explosive flames spurted out from the mouth, scorching the earth wantonly and sending out steaming heat waves. And the final gathering point of the magic power was all concentrated on Mo Bai's strong shield. Under the nervous gazes of everyone, a steady stream of flames rushed away. There seemed to be a crack in the shield. What followed was a rapid spread of cracks, like dominoes falling and spider webs covering the giant shield. The flames did not stop there. The next moment, the blazing red light swallowed up the exposed Mo Bai. It's over. Everyone was speechless. Mo Bai won't be killed because he underestimated the enemy, right? But this thought only lasted for a few seconds before an indifferent voice came from the flames. Well done, Natsu. Chapter 20, The Dragon Slaying Confrontation. The flames dissipated. Mo Bai appeared in front of the members of Fairy Tail. His skin was the gray-black color of steel and was indestructible. It was obviously Mo Bai's defensive measure after the shield was broken. Unscathed. Only then did everyone react. Is this Gajiel's steel skin? With 8 attributes of dragon-slaying magic, Mo Bai only used rock and steel. Look at Mo Bai's current position. It seems like his feet haven't moved since just now. In other words, Mo Bai never moved his position or used any attack magic from beginning to end. He just put up a shield and used it as a living target. Natsu was already sweating. Did he eat Natsu's flame just now? Probably not. I heard that the Dragon Slayer's fire is special. Even if they have the same attribute, they can't eat each other. Come on, Mo Bai. I bet you to win within 5 minutes. You can't lose. Natsu, stop attacking. If you hold on for 2 more minutes, I will give you half of the winnings. Just practice cooking more and forget about it later. As the atmosphere became heated again, Natsu's eyes lost the excitement of the first battle and became more cautious and calm. Among the crowd, I don't know which guild member was betting that he could last for 5 minutes. Perhaps he was afraid that Natsu would be defeated with the next blow. He actually threw a burning torch directly in Natsu's direction. Natsu, go on. Thank you very much. Natsu was instantly overjoyed. With the flames, he could continue to replenish his magic power. Immediately, he jumped in the air and was about to reach out to take the torch, but his eyes suddenly darkened. Looking intently, Mo Bai jumped up and arrived in front of him without knowing when. Mo Bai smiled apologetically. Then he flew up and kicked Natsu back to where he was, and the torch fell firmly into his hand. Natsu's face was filled with black lines, but he was helpless. I could only watch helplessly as Mo Bai put the fire and wood handle into his mouth. Mo Bai didn't forget to wipe his mouth. When you eat it, your strength will come out. Don't steal my lines. Natsu stomped his feet in anger, but the situation in front of him obviously would not give him a chance to show his temper. Mo Bai is also a dragon slayer. After eating the fire and the wooden handle, Mo Bai's magic power was enhanced, and his right fist burst out with even hotter flames. At this moment, he finally took the initiative to attack. The moment Mo Bai took action, Naz was about to raise his arms to resist when he suddenly heard a deep voice. "I'm here to help you." Immediately, Natsu saw a determined black figure standing in front of him and directly blocked the attack for him. Boom! The magic power exploded. After receiving the heavy blow from Mo Bai's fire fist, the figure was obviously unable to hold on, and he bent down slightly for a brief relief. Gajil? Natsu then recognized the person and immediately smiled knowingly. Sure enough, you are also concerned about where the dragon who raised you is gone, right? Hey, I'm not interested. I haven't been to work recently. I just want to exercise my skills. Gajil put on a disdainful expression and refused to admit it. He turned to Mo Bai and shouted, "The skills of the fire dragon are inferior to those of humans. I will be your opponent next. In exchange, if I win, tell me the news about the dragon. Who do you think is inferior to others? Steel Soul Dan?" Looking at the eager Gajil and the noisy Natsu, Mo Bai naturally had no objections. "You guys can come together. Just remember to pay me one more year's rent." The audience was dissatisfied. "If we go together, how will the time be calculated? Extended to 10 minutes. Kana, refund your money." A rare seriousness appeared on Gajil's face. He glanced at Natsu beside him and said calmly, "Use the secret directly. Clam. There is no chance if we use it head-on. If we use mysteries together, we might be able to break through his defense." Naz was disappointed and looked at Mo Bai again. After several rounds of fighting with him, it seemed that he really didn't cause any damage. Natsu simply gritted his teeth, and the flames on his body began to erupt again. Okay. Seeing this, Gajil no longer cared about the arm that had just been injured by Mo Bai, and focused all the iron magic in his body. Two powerful dragon-slaying pressures filled the entire place. The secret of Dragon Slayer. Red Lotus Exploding Flame Blade. The Mystery of Dragon Slayer. Karma Demonic Iron Divine Sword. At this time, Natsu and Gajil finally used their ultimate moves, and their magic powers surged crazily. Is this the last blow? Seeing this, Mo Bai slowly restrained the magic power in his body. Fire, electricity, storm. The secret of dragon slaying. Dragonine Kianki. Three types of magic with completely different attributes continued to blend, and energy burst out and shunted onto the arms. Dragon scales gradually appeared on Mo Bai's body. The secret of three dragons is also Mo Bai's strongest killing move. But given that the opponents are Natsu and Gajil, Mo Bai deliberately kept his hand. He only used about 60%.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.